At the time when the sect was on the brink of extinction, a woman went through great hardships to find the founding patriarch who had been in seclusion for 100,000 years. When the patriarch heard that the sect he had established with his own hands was almost destroyed by a third-rate small sect, he was so angry that he threw a little lamb to the woman and ordered it to help her wipe out all the enemies. Who would have thought that this ordinary little lamb was actually a king realm demon, which killed half of the enemy sect with just one sneeze? However, this kind of demon was just the weakest one among the thousands of demons under the Patriarch's command. It turned out that the Patriarch had come to this fantasy continent with a system, and with the system's guidance, he quickly established his own sect dynasty and built up his influence throughout the entire Hongmeng continent. With the system's help, his cultivation level kept improving, and soon he became the strongest person on the Hongmeng continent. In order to continue to improve his strength, the Patriarch decided to go to a higher-level continent to establish a sect. But before he left, the system panel suddenly crashed, and the Patriarch was trapped in Hongmeng and never had a chance to break through his cultivation level again. The Patriarch believed that not being able to break through meant that there were people stronger than him in the world, and his position was not stable. If his position was not stable, he could not lie down and be a lazy person. Since then, he worried every day that there would be stronger people from other continents coming to kill him. Although the system reminded him countless times that he was invincible, he still decided to hide in the most dangerous and remote place in the 9 deaths and 1 life realm. This went on for 100,000 years. Now, with the survival of the sect at stake, Luo Qinchen was elected as the new sect master. Before the old sect master died, he told little Luo that the Patriarch had left a token for the sect before he went into seclusion. He said that if the sect was in a life-threatening crisis, he could take this token to find the Patriarch and that she must find him before the sect's protection array was broken. Luo Qinchen didn't dare to neglect and immediately went to the 9 deaths and 1 life realm. The hardships along the way made Luo Qinchen secretly think to himself, all 10,000 years have passed. Is the Patriarch really still alive? At the moment of despair, an incredibly large chicken suddenly landed in front of her. Luo Qinchen looked carefully and saw that it was the monstrous and cannibalistic purple netherworld sparrow. This kind of high-level monster, even if the entire Divine Sword sect were to come, they would still be unable to escape being devoured. Luo Qinchen collapsed in despair. Has the fate of my Forget Immortal sect really come to an end? I feel ashamed that I couldn't complete the mission and failed my section. But who would have known that in the next moment, the purple netherworld sparrow would flap its wings and carry her on its back, flying towards the deepest part of the secret realm. Luo Qinchen was dumbfounded, thinking, am I dreaming? How could a monster like this allow a human to ride on its back? But before she could recover from her shock, the purple netherworld sparrow had already flown her to a palace, set her down, and bowed down to her, saying respectfully, Master, the mission is completed. Then, a white-haired man walked slowly out of the palace. Step back, he said. Luo Qinchen was instantly shocked, wondering who this person was that even the purple netherworld sparrow would bow down to. Luo Qinchen quickly bowed to show respect. As she was still stunned, her life-saving token suddenly floated up from her chest, and then flew directly to the man. Seeing this, Luo Qinchen shouted urgently, That's my sect's life-saving token. Why did you take it away? The man coldly replied, This has always been Patriarch Qinxian's possession. Why would I need to steal it? Luo Qinchen couldn't believe it. Could it be that he was the founder of my Forget Immortal sect, Qinxian Patriarch? Luo Qinchen immediately kowtowed desperately, pleading for Patriarch Qin to come out and save their sect. After understanding the ins and outs of the matter, suddenly his expression changed. My prestigious Forget Immortal sect was actually destroyed by a mere half-step divine realm trash. Just 100,000 years have passed, and the power I established has fallen like this? When have I, a traveler, experienced such frustration? Oh well, I'll just go and wipe them out with one palm. Just then, a dialogue box popped up in front of the Patriarch's eyes. The sect system is activated. The system is rebooted as a branching system. New mission released. Go through 6 trials before heading to the next continent. The Patriarch was immediately shocked. It's been 100,000 years. Do you know how I spent these 10 square years? System, oh system, you finally appeared again. The first trial, rescue the sect, but the requirement is that I cannot directly take action. The Patriarch tearfully accepted the task. Finally, I can continue to create a new continent. Then he grabbed the hands of the junior disciple little Luo with a sly smile. Although I, the Patriarch, am very strong, I must rely on you to make our sect strong. The matter of the sect can only be handled by yourselves. The Patriarch thought that the system required him not to take action, but in order to complete the task, he must also lend a hand. The Divine Sword sect has the Heavenly Sword battle garb, right? Follow me and pick out some clothes. Just then, with a snap of his fingers, they instantly arrived in a different space. the Patriarch softly exclaimed as 4 sets of battle garbs appeared before his eyes. Luo Qingchen was instantly stunned. The so-called clothes of the Patriarch were actually battle garbs of the 4 elements: wind, fire, water, and earth. Pick any one of them, and they could all easily defeat the Divine Sword Sect's Heavenly Sword battle garb. Luo Qingchen pointed at the fire element battle garb. I want this one. Who knew that Patriarch would kick the 4 sets of battle garb into pieces with 1 foot? Too ugly. Quickly get me a new batch, at least the kind that can be seen in Paris Fashion Week. Next, a set of purple battle garb caught Luo Qingchen's eye. This is the pre-heavenly poison battle garb, which was said to have been worn by a poison Shura to rescue his mother and defeat the heavenly Shura with one's own power alone, 10,000 years ago. At this point, Luo Qingchen had already imagined herself wearing it and the stunning scene it would create. Patriarch, this one, she said. But in the next moment, Patriarch slapped it into pieces. Girls should not wear anything too rebellious, he said. Then came the Thunder Infinite battle garb. No, the color is too gaudy. The Stellar Sea battle garb? The name is too tacky. The Primordial Immortal battle garb? No, my dog doesn't like it. With each explosion, Luo Qingchen's mental defense was shattered. Is this picking clothes for me, or destroying treasures? She wondered. Then, she hugged Patriarch's thigh and said, don't destroy it. Let's take this one. Patriarch looked at the bloody battle garb in his hand and said, this is the Sun God battle garb. If you can fuse perfectly with it, you can't die as long as there is fire. It's just that you are also a fire attribute. It can be considered destiny that you have chosen this one. With Patriarch's help, Luo Qingchen quickly fused with the battle garb. With this battle garb, it should be no problem to deal with the Divine Sword Sect. Luo Qingchen then prepared to return to save the sect. At this moment, the Patriarch stopped her and said there was something important for her to do. Upon hearing this, Luo Qingchen's face was full of eagerness. The Patriarch's face was serious as he asked her, can you cook? Upon hearing this, Luo Qingchen was momentarily stunned. Not only that, but the Patriarch also asked her to wear a maid outfit and cook a table of dishes. Luo Qingchen's face was full of shyness, but at this time, the sect was in trouble, and she didn't have time to eat with the Patriarch, who knew the Patriarch didn't care and directly stuffed a large piece of meat into her mouth. As the meat reached her mouth, Luo Qingchen realized it was not ordinary meat, but rather sacred Kirin meat. Just a sip of it could make her spiritual power spread throughout her body. Legend has it that thousands of years ago, when a demonic cultivator's mother was critically ill, he, who was at the peak of his cultivation, wanted to hunt the Kirin to save his mother. However, he not only failed to hunt the Kirin but was also forced to perform a stand-up comedy routine for 3 years before the Kirin would let him go. This shows how precious the Kirin is. While Luo Qingchen was still in ecstasy, the Patriarch thought she was choking and poured a pot of water down her throat. But how could it be ordinary water? It was clearly Jade Spring Divine Brew, and it was a full glass. You see, even having a drop of Jade Spring Divine Brew was a luxury for the current Forget Immortal sect. Luo Qingchen was shocked and grateful, quickly kowtowing to express her thanks. The Patriarch casually said, no need to be polite. I still have a lake of Jade Spring Divine Brew. Luo Qingchen was stunned once again. Is this the grandeur of the Patriarch of the sect? Suddenly, a thunderbolt sounded, and Luo Qingchen knew that she had successfully broken through to the Quenched Bone realm. At this moment, the Patriarch system panel prompted that the task of expanding the sect had been completed, and there was a reward of 10,000 years of power for the host. With a loud thunderbolt, Patriarch Qinshian successfully broke through to the second rank of the Emperor realm. It's been 100,000 years, and he finally made another breakthrough. From now on, he would secretly help his juniors while striving to upgrade himself. Immediately, Luo Qingchen prepared to thank him and returned to rescue the sect. At this moment, the Patriarch pointed to the huge blood sun in the sky and laughed. Look at this sun. Don't worry, let's steam in the sauna again. In the sauna, the Patriarch looked very pleased, while Luo Qingchen felt embarrassed. Seeing this, the Patriarch said straightforwardly, or I can tell you a nursery rhyme to divert your attention. This positive story is called Master and Disciple Living Together. As the Patriarch spoke, Luo Qingchen suddenly realized that steam was gradually gathering around her. It turned out that the Patriarch was transmitting spiritual energy to her, and although the nursery rhyme seemed frivolous, it contained the legendary Imperial level technique, the Skyfire Burning Heaven secret. You should know that the levels of techniques are divided into yellow, mysterious, earthly, heavenly, and imperial, and even the strongest rival, the Divine Sword Sect, is only at the earthly level. But now the Patriarch was teaching her the top imperial level technique. Luo Qingchen did not disappoint the Patriarch's kind intentions. The Patriarch then said to the system, "I was just having a meal and telling stories with my junior. Is that against the rules?" The system was speechless. The next morning, as Luo Qinshan prepared to bid farewell after breaking through to the nourished spirit realm, the Patriarch suddenly pulled out a small calf, saying that it could be roasted and eaten on the way if she got hungry. Looking at little Luo bringing back so many local specialties, as long as she didn't encounter anything strange, these should be enough to deal with the Divine Sword Sect, who were no match for the mighty Forget Immortal Sect. At this moment, the protective sect array of Forget Immortal Sect was finally broken through. Forget Immortal Sect was completely powerless to resist. Suddenly, a voice came from above. "Junior brothers and sisters, why are you so stubborn? A good bird chooses a good tree to perch on. Why don't you join the great Divine Sword Sect like me?" Upon hearing this, all members of Forget Immortal Sect were extremely indignant. They called Yichen a traitor to the sect, a scum who betrayed them, and the senior brother of the sect who actually defected to the enemy. However, Yichen remained calm and said, "Go ahead and kill them all." Suddenly, there was a loud noise. "Rebel, do you really think that Forget Immortal Sect has no one left?" The disciples were anxious. Older Lu's injuries had not yet healed, but he could not think too much at this moment. Faced with this rebel whom he had trained himself, Older Lu said that if he wanted to harm his sect, he would have to step over his own corpse. Then, he burned his remaining life force and struck with a final blow, vowing to personally eradicate this rebel. However, just as he was about to hit Yichen, the Divine Sword Sect's top disciple, Sword Maniac, suddenly appeared and blocked the blow. He was strong enough to compete with the elders and was the most powerful force of the Divine Sword Sect. Older Lu knew that the sect was in dire straits today. Faced with Sword Maniac's attack, Older Lu, who was already seriously injured, had no chance of defending himself and was quickly kicked to the ground. Older Lu was in great sorrow. Sect Master Luo had gone to the realm of life and death, and now she was the last force of the sect. If he couldn't hold on until Sect Master Luo returned, Forget Immortal Sect would probably fall. At this moment, Yichen was preparing to use the corpse of his master as a merit for defecting to the Divine Sword Sect. Just as Yichen's sword was about to pierce Older Lu, a dazzling sword light suddenly flashed in the distance. Immediately after, there was a loud bang, and Yichen was instantly knocked back onto a huge pillar, seemingly lifeless after the fall. Older Lu was stunned. Did that one strike really kill him? A voice came from afar. The Divine Sword Sect, which was just a small affiliate of my Forget Immortal Sect 100,000 years ago, now dares to bully your master. As a pair of beautiful legs slowly touched the ground, the newcomer was none other than Luo Qinshan, who had arrived just in time, and beside her was an angry little calf. Older Lu was shocked. As the Patriarch returned from the 9 deaths and 1 life realm, "Did you bring the Patriarch back?" he asked. Luo Qinshan smiled and said, "I found the Patriarch, but he refuses to come out of seclusion and said we should fend for ourselves." At this point, the sword fanatic stepped forward and said, "To be able to come back alive from the 9 deaths and 1 life realm, you must have some skills. I once went there when I was young and fearless, and almost lost my life. But I also gained a set of sword techniques under fortuitous circumstances, and that set of sword techniques has yet to be surpassed by anyone. Now that you can come back from there, you should be able to withstand my strongest sword, right?" Older Lu quickly urged the master to escape, as the opponent was the strongest newcomer of the Divine Sword Sect in the Nourished Spirit Realm at the 8th rank, far beyond the reach of her concentrating realm. Even in my prime, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. But Luo Qinshan just smiled and turned around to face the opponent. "Leave it to me." Before he finished speaking, flames had already begun to gather in his hand. The sword fanatic, outraged by his ignorance and arrogance, instantly erupted in anger. "A mere flame dares to challenge my overwhelming sword intent? Dragon sword of deadly intent." But Luo Qinshan just coldly laughed. "Raging fire heaven decree," and his blue sword intent was instantly crushed by a phoenix made of flames. Immediately, Sword Maniac was engulfed by the sky-high fireworks, leaving everyone present in awe. In an instant, Sword Maniac was burnt down to only his underwear. Luo Qinshan looked at the so-called Sword Maniac lying on the ground and coldly said, "How dare you show off your skills where they are not needed?" Older Lu was nearly shocked to dislocate his jaw. "Master, what kind of opportunity did you have to improve so rapidly?" Suddenly, there was a sound behind him. "Who killed my disciple?" The person who came was none other than Tang Zong, the chief elder of the Divine Sword Sect's half-step divine realm. Older Lu was once again shocked. "Run!" The old master died at the hands of his sword. Luo Qinshan listened and angrily glared. "It was you, bald donkey, who killed my master." Tang Zong immediately prepared to draw his sword. "Who gave you the courage to challenge me?" Just then, a flame suddenly floated in front of Tang Zong's eyes. He didn't think much of it, but in the next second, the spreading flame had already enveloped Tang Zong. Tang Zong was shocked. How could someone in the nourished spirit realm unleash the power of the divine realm? Die, bald donkey. Go to hell and apologize to my master. Suddenly, Tang Zong pulled out a long spear from nowhere, breaking through the flames in an instant and hitting Luo Qingshan's chest with a burst of energy in the next second. Looking at Luo Qingshan lying on the ground, Tang Zong had a smug look on his face. Did you think I was only good with the long sword? Actually, I'm also good with the long spear, and it's made of invincible diamond rock. Your master's adamantium chest armor was pierced by my rock spear and caused his death. In anger, Luo Qingshan struggled to get up and once again used the burning heaven decision, but Tang Zong used his sword energy to blow away the flames. At the same time, attacking with a gun, the raging fire has no effect whatsoever. As the attack seemed impossible to stop, at the critical moment, a calf's hoof fell from the sky, and the next second, it blocked the long gun with its horns. The supposedly invincible gun shattered into pieces instantly. Get lost, you bull. Tang Zong was stunned by what he saw, and then he tactically retreated to create distance. The young bull was itching for a fight. Originally, it had wanted to live among humans as an ordinary calf, but instead it received only rejection. Enough of the act. I am a King Realm demon, and I am showing my cards now. In an instant, the young bull turned into a towering beast. Tang Zong fell to his knees. Daddy demon, please don't eat me. If you want to eat someone, eat my disciple. Just as he was begging for mercy, Tang Zong secretly burned his life force from behind and poured his spiritual power into a dagger. Seizing the opportunity while the big bull was distracted, he unleashed a King Realm strike in an instant. Tang Zong felt satisfied with his cunning plan, having traded his life force for this full-strength blow. The tiny blade would become an unbreakable point of power against such a massive body. Even the Black Thunder Bull Python of King Realm would not be able to withstand this move. However, he had never expected that a mere sneeze from the young bull would electrocute Tang Zong to a crisp. At the moment, the young bull did not seem to realize it had killed someone, but the onlookers were all stunned. This was a Divine Realm expert who almost wiped out their sect, yet the young bull killed him so easily. As the Black Thunder Bull Python turned its attention back to them, it was dumbfounded to find everything around it charred. All the snacks that were within reach were ruined. The Patriarch from the 9 Deaths and 1 Life realm realized that it was wise to send the little black bull away. Although it was just a small demon in the King Realm, its defense was invincible. Unless they were of a higher level or had a racial advantage, they would not be able to break its defense. How could the Divine Sword Sect ever have anyone who could defeat the young bull? I should just relax and read my novel. At this moment, Luo Qingshan fell to the ground with a thump. The Patriarch has been really good to me. I originally thought he was just an ordinary pet, but I didn't expect him to be such a capable warrior. Seeing this, the remaining disciples of the Divine Sword Sect scattered in all directions. In the midst of celebration for the Forget Immortal Sect's survival, older Lu collapsed on the ground, exhausted and depleted of nearly 90% of his life force, and it seemed he wouldn't live for another half an hour. At that moment, Little Black reminded her, "Don't you have the Jade Spring Divine Brew with you? Just give him a sip." Older Lu took the Jade Spring Divine Brew seriously, knowing how precious it was and didn't want to waste it on a dying old man, saving it for the younger generation instead. But the next moment, Luo Qingshan pulled out a large jug of it, and older Lu, at the brink of death, was shocked. He couldn't believe what he was seeing, and thought he was either dreaming or already dead. Ignoring his own image, older Lu licked the ground to savor the spilled Jade Spring Divine Brew. Seeing this, Luo Qingshan felt a bit embarrassed, telling him it wasn't necessary, since the Patriarch had a whole lake of it. Little Black sneered, saying that he had never seen such an ignorant bumpkin. Older Lu couldn't believe his eyes, thinking he was either dreaming or had died already. Seeing this, Luo Qingshan summoned his Tyrian God battle garb, and said that little bull was just one of the most ordinary of the Patriarch's thousands of demon beasts. Can you believe it now? Older Lu's worldview, built up over tens of thousands of years, instantly collapsed, and he began to swallow the Jade Spring Divine Brew in big gulps. With the Patriarch's inheritance, the Forget Immortal Sect would finally rise again, and this time they vowed to eradicate the Divine Sword Sect once and for all. At this moment, the Divine Sword Sect finally remembered the fear of being dominated by the Forget Immortal Sect 10,000 years ago. The Black Thunder Bull Python and the Tyri Yangshan body are now in a frenzy of killing. However, a man in the Divine Sword Sect's hall is completely calm. This man is the Sect Master Jian Wuming. It turns out that he has long been deprived of his body by a mysterious force, and this force also sent someone to steal the soul-devouring bead. This attack on the Forget Immortal Sect was also provoked by him. At this moment, Jian Wuming has completely become a puppet. The disciples of the Divine Sword Sect were overjoyed to see the Sect Master come out again, but they quickly realized that even the sect master was not strong enough to deal with the Black Thunder Bull Python, let alone he had just recovered from a serious illness a month ago. They immediately asked the sect master to lead everyone to escape, because after all, as long as there are survivors, the Green Hills are not afraid of firewood. They could come back to attack the Forget Immortal sect after rebuilding their sect. However, Jian Wuming, who had his body taken over by the magic bead, smirked and asked if he needed them, useless people, to replace the Forget Immortal sect as his nourishment. He lifted the soul-devouring bead and flew into the air, and the entire sect was covered by the magic bead in an instant. All the disciples of the sect were motionless under the magic light, and in a blink of an eye, all the disciples were killed by having their souls sucked out. At this moment, the soul-devouring bead was even more expanded, and Jian Wuming, under the blessing of the magic bead, kept ascending his level. He soon reached the level of King Realm 2nd grade. Luo Qingchen and the Black Thunder Bull Python, who were not far away, were shocked to see the scene. They wondered if the Divine Sword sect was killing themselves. Then they heard a noise behind the bull. No wonder the small Forget Immortal sect dared to launch a counterattack. It turned out that there was a mutated Black Thunder Bull Python and even the legendary Tai Ri Yangshan body. This is interesting. Seeing this situation, the little black one was shocked. These two people turned out to be demons. It is difficult to kill demons who are good at using black energy, and they improve their cultivation by feeding on humans and beasts. But weren't the demons destroyed by humans hundreds of thousands of years ago? Why does the rekindling happen now in this small sword sect? Luo Qingchen immediately sent a message to Little Black. I'll hold back one demon, you quickly kill the other. Luo Qingchen knew he wasn't their match. That was a King Realm succubus. But she decided to fight to the death anyway. As soon as she moved forward, she used all her strength to perform her most powerful move, Burning Sky Flame Slash. With a single slash, the succubus lost all resistance. And at that moment, the Black Thunder Python pretended to be hit by the enemy. In its moment of complacency, it instantly wrapped its tail around the opponent. Then, in the sky, it gathered a huge thunderbolt and struck him. The two thought their plan had worked, but the next second, the succubus appeared unharmed, flying out of the flames. It was already impressive that someone at the Nourished Spirit Realm could unleash such power, but unfortunately, the gap in realm couldn't be crossed easily. Meanwhile, the power demon cruelly tore the tail of the Black Thunder Python. Even such an invincible defense was instantly broken. Just as the two demons were about to deal the final blow, two energy blades suddenly knocked them away. The mysterious pair then killed the two demons. Luo Qingchen rushed forward to express his gratitude and offered them the Jade Spring Divine Brew as a token of thanks. But the mysterious siblings didn't even glance at it, saying they weren't interested in such a vulgar thing. They had come from afar to retrieve the national treasure, the soul-eating orb. And the matter of the demons wasn't something that small sects like theirs should get involved in. Next time, they should remember to run as far as they can. But at this moment, the element demon had successfully refined the soul-eating orb. After 100,000 years, the half-step Emperor Realm element demon finally reappeared in the world. In the face of the unshackled element demon, the demon hunters were not afraid. What could a half-step Emperor do? Anyone who dared to steal their national treasure, the soul-eating orb, would have to die. The Black Thunder Python also realized what was going on. These were demon hunters, not only with demon blood, but also able to use the power of the demons, born with the ability to confront the demon clan beyond one's level. The battle to exterminate the demon clan 100,000 years ago, their ancestors had made great contributions. But before they could finish speaking, the two demon slayers were instantly knocked to the ground. They were unable to break through the barrier of the element demon. It turned out that after refining the soul-devouring bead, it became a protective treasure with the laws of heaven and earth. It could not only be used for imprisonment but also for defense. With this, he was no longer afraid of any attacks. Hearing this, the demon slayers were frightened. It was actually the laws of heaven and earth. This was something they couldn't deal with at their level. They immediately prepared to flee. But at this moment, the original demon had already enveloped the entire continent with the soul-devouring bead. Two King Realm demon slayers, a mutated Black Thunder Bull Python, an Emperor rank battle garb, plus hundreds of Forget Immortal sect disciples, all became my nourishment. At this moment, Luo Qingchen was filled with regret. He shouldn't have led all the disciples of the sect to counterattack. Now, he could only watch as his cultivation was slowly being absorbed. Just then, there was a sudden loud noise in the sky. My juniors, hello everyone. A huge vortex suddenly appeared in the sky, followed by a giant colorful arm descending from the sky. The Black Thunder Bull Python immediately recognized that its master had arrived. The original demon was also trembling with fear. To be able to exert the power of the laws of heaven and earth without external help, this person was at least above the Emperor realm. This is just a small area where King realm can claim to be king. Why would an Emperor realm expert appear here, and still claiming to be the Patriarch of Forget Immortal Sect? At this point, Qinshian smiled and said, "The Patriarch is just here to say hello, not to save you." Oh, Qinshian also asked the system about something. "I just shook hands with my junior, don't consider it as making a move." System is speechless. As soon as this was said, Yuan Mo breathed a sigh of relief. He thought that this level of powerful beings had already looked down upon life and death, and perhaps had no interest in the laws of life and death. Immediately afterwards, Qinshian politely said, "The way we greet each other in our place is to shake hands." While Element Demon was still dazed, a huge palm attacked from the sky. Wait, why did they shake hands with their junior and come towards me? Element Demon finally realized that he was the target. Element Demon was unwilling to be destroyed just like this. He had taken over the body of the Divine Sword Sect's Sect Master after enduring for 1,000 years, and it took him 10,000 years to refine the soul-devouring pearl. Why did he encounter such a powerful being as soon as he appeared in the world after being sneaky for so long? Was heaven determined to destroy his demonic race? If it was war, then so be it. The bloodline of the demon race was fully activated, the bloodline of the soul-devouring pearl was fully activated, and the heavenly sword battle garb was fully activated. After all, he was only half a step away from the Emperor realm. As the strongest complete form of the demon race, Element Demon's firepower was now fully open. He was bursting with confidence. "Come and fight. Even the Jade Emperor can't kill me now. At this moment, I am already the pinnacle of this continent." But before Element Demon could finish gloating, Qinshian blasted him away with a palm, sending him flying tens of thousands of meters. The entire continent was almost split in half. Qinshian sneered and said, "I, Xian Heaven Emperor, have been living in seclusion in this world for 10,000 years, and it seems that everyone has forgotten about me now." If you look at the history of the Hongmeng continent 10,000 years ago, you will find that every page is written with the words Xian Heaven Emperor is invincible, and Xian Heaven Emperor's greatest characteristic is protecting his own. As siblings who are demon hunters, they were instantly stunned. Who exactly is this? Even their Haoyue kingdom would be like ants in front of such a top-level powerhouse. The Patriarch decided to continue being a salted fish. "Next, you all should study hard and make progress every day." At this moment, the younger generation bid farewell to the Patriarch in a proud manner. Xiao's siblings had an awkward look on their faces. "Just a moment ago, it seemed like we were talking about them. Little Sect, don't meddle in other people's business." Who would have thought that their Patriarch was such a big shot? "How about we give a gift to curry favor?" Then, they stopped Luo Qinshan. "This is the starfall map of our Haoyue kingdom. Please accept it as a token of gratitude for saving the Patriarch." The sudden gift shocked Luo Qinshan. "This is a treasure map that records the location of a powerful fallen treasure. I cannot accept such a valuable gift." However, the Xiao siblings thought she was looking down on them and immediately kneeled, ready to fight her to the end. Luo Qinshan reluctantly accepted the gift after their persistent insistence. Suddenly, Luo Qinshan felt a sense of mission. Now that the archenemy Divine Sword Sect has turned into ruins and Forget Immortal Sect has found its faith, it is time to rebuild the Forget Immortal Sect. The crisis of the Forget Immortal Sect has been resolved, and the Patriarch has helped the younger generation resolve the sect's crisis. The first trial has been completed, and a direct reward of 10,000 years of power is given. Qinshian's realm has also reached Emperor Realm Tier 3. The system prompt stated that the next mission is related to the intruder of the 9 deaths and 1 life realm. The host needs to find clues on their own. With such generous rewards, Qinshian is looking forward to the next mission. At the same time, an old man suddenly visited the 9 deaths and 1 life realm. This person is named Jade Face Venerable Wenbaiyu. At the peak of the King realm, he thought he was invincible, and the ferocious beasts here treated him with utmost respect. Now that his life is coming to an end, he is preparing to find a geomantic treasure land to bury himself. How could he know who the real owner of this place would be? Suddenly, there was a loud noise in the sky, and Qinshian appeared in a shining manner. Upon seeing this, Wenbaiyu, of the King realm, couldn't help but kneel down on the ground. Qinshian questioned him, "How dare you trespass into my 9 deaths and 1 life realm? Are you going to take matters into your own hands, or shall I do it?" Unexpectedly, Wenbaiyu suddenly straightened his back and said, "I, Jade Face Venerable, am renowned throughout the world. You might have some misunderstandings about me." But the next second, he knelt down on the ground again. At a glance, he had seen Qinshian's true strength. Qinshian thought to himself, since the system prompts that the next task is related to this person, I'll ask if there are any task clues. He then asked, "Have you seen any declining sect forces or descendants of the Chen family?" Jade-Face Venerable frankly stated that 10 years ago, he had mentored 2 outstanding youths surnamed Chen on the Hongmeng continent's east side. One of them had exceptional talent and progressed rapidly, while the other was a complete waste, despite having the innate Thunderlight body. Although he had imparted his knowledge to the latter, it was of no use. Jade-Face Venerable continued, "During my thousands of years in this world, I've found that females surnamed Chen are usually talented, while males surnamed Chen are mostly trash." Hearing this, Chen Xian looked embarrassed and said, "My surname is Chen." He then controlled a colorful fist and was about to strike Jade-Face Venerable, but suddenly pulled out a pear from his palm. "Since you mentored my later generations, let me offer you a pear." Jade-Face Venerable, a renowned figure, had never suffered such humiliation. However, he had to swallow his pride in front of this powerful person. Suddenly, when Baiyu's old face turned red, "This taste is not a pear, but a millennium-old holy medicine that I have been seeking for ages, the golden snake-coiled fruit. Just one can replenish 1,000 years of life." He had searched for 1,000 years but had never found one. "I just imparted some knowledge to your later generations. You don't have to thank me at such a great cost." But while saying so, he is honestly and desperately gnawing on the food. Even though he feel embarrassed, Chen Xian pointed to the basket of radishes beside him. "I have a lot of useless things. If no one eats them, they will rot." When Baiyu widened her eyes in surprise and then hugged Chen Xian's thigh tightly, regardless of his image. "I'll be your underling. Even if I were your son, I would be willing to use my entire life to support you." Chen Xian was speechless. "If the system didn't forbid me from taking direct action, I wouldn't have taken an old man like you as my subordinate. However, now is the time when he needs someone to run errands." Meanwhile, on the other side, Chen Xian's descendant, Chen Daorang, looked puzzled. As the head of the Chen family, he prayed for Patriarch to help his family while looking at the Xian token left to him by Patriarch. If only Patriarch were still here. Suddenly, there was a thunder in the sky, and the token instantly emitted a dazzling white light. Chen Xian Patriarch is going to take action again. 100,000 years have passed. In the easternmost part of the Hongmeng continent, the Chen family, which had fallen on hard times, was no longer prosperous. Chen Daorang, the head of the family, was also constantly ostracized by the academy. Others could obtain high-quality resources, but he could only eat the worst food every day. Unfortunately, the academy distributed resources based on merit. Although Chen Daorang had the envy of many people with his innate thunder body, his meridians were narrow, and he could not absorb the spiritual energy. As a result, he became a waste in everyone's eyes, and his cultivation ranked at the bottom of the academy. That day, Chen Daorang only received a few pieces of the worst fruit. The sister who ranked first in the academy's ranking took out her own Nimbus chicken leg to give to Chen Daorang, but he was mocked by everyone for taking advantage of his sister. Yi Yuma, the second-ranked student in the White Deer Academy, even ridiculed him. "You waste. Return the spiritual food to Kair. Look at you, you are so cowardly. Even your siblings have received guidance from Senior One. Your younger sister ranked first in the academy, while elder brother ranked last. It's better to submit to the academy like my family, so that you can get good practice resources, instead of being cheated like your sister who only gets a small chicken leg despite being ranked first." Sister Kair couldn't bear it anymore and was about to draw her sword. "Yi Yuma, shut up. My brother was doing it for their family." At this moment, Chen Daorang stepped in and stopped his younger sister, saying, "Don't resort to violence. We are a large family and we should use a gentleman's way to resolve disputes." This caused everyone to burst into laughter. "You must still be dreaming. Do you think your Chen family existed 100,000 years ago? You can insult me, but don't blame me for being impolite if you insult my family." Yi Yuma laughed and looked up. "Chen family pig, what do you want to do to be impolite?" And Chen Daorang stopped him by stuffing a pear into his mouth. The smell suddenly became unbearable, as the stench filled the air. Although this thing has some spiritual power, its smell really is like feces. While Yi Yuma was vomiting, Chen Daorang quickly took his resources and ran away, leaving the courtyard to count his loot and plan to give them to his sister. She will definitely be able to make significant progress in her cultivation again. Looking at the statue in front of him, Chen Daorang thought of the founder of the academy, one who had created the academy with the aim of providing a fair opportunity for everyone to practice and benefit the people. However, after only 10 years, the academy was monopolized by the new principal. To obtain practice resources, one must sign an agreement with the academy and become a member, which Chen Daorang refused to do as it would mean the end of his family. This had led to his family being targeted and being called useless. Unfortunately, it was a waste of his sister's talent. He looked at the Xian character command passed down from the Patriarch in his hand. If the Patriarch were still here, they could have dominated the academy and led the Chen family to the world. At this moment, the impoverished Chen family suddenly received an unexpected visitor who turned out to be the current dean of White Deer Academy, Bai Dongrang. This is an agreement signed voluntarily by your sister, Chen Kaier. 10 days later, if she wins the enrollment competition, she will be a member of the academy from then on. After that, your Chen family won't have to submit to the academy but can still enjoy its abundant resources. Sacrificing one woman for the hope of the whole clan, isn't that a good deal? However, the dean had his own schemes. He wanted to use Chen Kaier's identity as a descendant of Wen and expand his influence through her, then profit from it. Chen Daorang walked up to his sister with a gloomy face, feeling ridiculous at how he had wasted her talent all these years to preserve the so-called dignity of their family. It's my fault for not bowing my head for the sake of our family's so-called dignity and wasting your great talent. I'm sorry, little sister, he said. He then went to the sculpture of Wen Baiyu and placed offerings in front of it, devoutly saying to the command token left by the Patriarch, "You said that the family can ask for your help in times of crisis. Now that our family is in decline, and we're about to lose even my sister, can you lend us a hand?" Suddenly, the Patriarch's command token glowed blue, followed by a thunderbolt that directly hit Chen Daorang. "You irresponsible Patriarch, you said to come to you in times of crisis, but now you're using thunder to strike me. Watch me eat up your offerings and use my urine to wake you up." Meanwhile, Wen Baiyu received instructions from Chen Xian and happened to teleport there. "It's raining," he muttered, though he was actually furious. But after all, he was a descendant of Chen Xian. Wen was too scared to do anything. Then, he flung Chen Daorang away with one hand. Immediately, they flew for a day and a night to reach the hall of Chen Xian. "Your Patriarch is inside. Come with me," he said. Chen Daorang was shocked and delighted. "My Patriarch made it after all, and he's even working under one." Excitedly, he walked into the depths of the palace. But the next second, he was stunned by what he saw. Wasn't that beggar sleeping in the garbage heap the Chen family's Patriarch? Was he really reduced to guarding the door for one? He looked so lowly and disappointing. Suddenly, a strange noise came from behind the Patriarch's heap of garbage, and a large bird appeared. Chen Daorang was instantly scared out of his wits. "Oh no, how could my Patriarch be sleeping next to this demon beast?" He recognized it as the powerful purple dark Ming sparrow. He quickly begged Wen to save his Patriarch, but the next second, Wen fell to his knees. What's going on? Was Wen also scared by the bird? Then, the purple dark Ming sparrow spoke up. "Little Wen brought your junior here. Get up, master." This scene made Chen Daorang question his entire life. Why were both Wen and the bird calling his Patriarch master? Seeing their respectful behavior, Chen Daorang finally believed that his Patriarch was indeed their master. How could this be possible? Was he dreaming? At that moment, Luo Qinchen flew over holding a calf. She immediately washed the Patriarch's face with a slime, thanking him for giving the Battle Garb Emperor's scripture and the help of Black. Now the sect is on the rise again. The Patriarch ordered little Luo to cook. This scene stunned Chen Daorang even more. His Patriarch was actually giving her such valuable things. It seemed the Patriarch's generosity knew no bounds. As a direct relative, he couldn't help but think that it was a heaven-sent opportunity. With this in mind, Chen Daorang quickly gave a respectful bow to the Patriarch. He thought that as long as the Patriarch sent him some Imperial-level demonic beasts or something, the problem would be solved. But his thoughts were instantly seen through by Chen Xian. He had managed the family so poorly, yet still wanted rewards. He should be punished first. Chen Xian waved his hand lightly, and with that one strike, Chen Daorang's cultivation and battle garb were instantly destroyed. He was already a useless person, and now he had truly become a waste. Chen Daorang held his chest in pain and did not understand why the Patriarch would do this. The Patriarch bluntly said, "I only destroyed your battle garb and cultivation, but my battle garb and cultivation were already at the waste level. If they are destroyed, what's the difference between me and a pile of mud?" The Patriarch said the punishment was not over yet. "I have been reading books on alchemy recently. You will stay here and become my cauldron boy. You will need to burn the fire for me for about 10 days to half a month. Don't even think about leaving." Upon hearing this, Chen Daorang panicked. "My younger sister has a martial arts contest in 10 days. I must return immediately." But the Patriarch suddenly became fierce. "You have no right to refuse. From now on, you must obey me. Either burn the furnace well, and I'll let you go back, or you'll have only one dead end." Helpless, Chen Daorang had to bite the bullet and kneel down to thank him. "He's my own Patriarch. Why is he so cruel to his own family members? I didn't even gain any benefits. Now, I feel like I'm going to die." 3 days later, at the White Deer Academy's martial arts arena, Chen Kaier had successfully passed her first test, easily defeating a strong man who was only superficially skilled. Everyone was deeply impressed by her immense talent, considering she had no cultivation resources and was still far stronger than those who were born with a silver spoon in their mouths. However, at this moment, Chen Kaier was worried. Since I signed the agreement, my brother has disappeared. Is he still angry with me? New Dean Bai Dongrang watched Chen Kaier's perfect performance, planning his own scheme. After winning the competition, he would package her as Wen's senior disciple and expand their influence in Wen's name. Meanwhile, in the Patriarch's palace, Chen Daorang was busy tending to the alchemy furnace, having worked tirelessly for a day and a night. Just as he was about to rest, the Patriarch shouted at him, reminding him that he had been stripped of his battle garb, cultivation, rest, and food. Chen Daorang clenched his fists and dared not complain. The day of Chen Kaier's competition arrived, and she had already defeated the affiliated forces of 9 academies. One more victory and she would become the strongest of her generation, thanks to Wen's guidance. The final challenger was Yi Yuma, who was ranked second at the Bailu Academy. Yi Yuma expressed surprise that Chen Kaier was willing to submit to the academy, but she insisted on helping her brother become a genius. Yi Yuma mocked her, saying that even if her brother had more resources, he would still be a waste. Feeding pigs with the resources you have will yield better returns than giving them to your brother. Chen Kaier then used the white deer sword art, surprising everyone with her skill in Wen's self-created technique. Yi Yuma was doomed to lose, and even the dean couldn't help but sigh, wishing that Yi Yuma could just be content with being second best. Chen Kaier demanded that Yi Yuma apologize to Chen Kaier's brother, sparing his life. Just as everyone thought Yi Yuma would lose, something unexpected happened. Unexpectedly, Yi Yuma smirked at this. Then, with a speed invisible to the naked eye, he punched Kaier in the lower abdomen. This punch instantly destroyed Chen Kaier's spiritual veins. Suddenly, 2 identical Yi Yumas appeared on the field, leaving everyone stunned. The dean was shocked and sat up. Isn't that the rare battle garb left by Senior One in the academy? The twin battle garb? No one wanted to believe that Chen Kaier would be defeated with just one hit. Yi Yuma pointed at Chen Kaier proudly and said, "I'll use your brother's words to reply to you. It's true that fortunes can change in an instant. Don't underestimate the poor youth." The dean's face was full of disbelief. He himself had always wanted to obtain the twin battle garb, which not only doubled the host's abilities but also gave them 2 lives. But it was left specifically for those with fate by Senior One. Where did this guy come from? At this moment, Yi Yuma was looking up at the sky, laughing smugly. "I was able to get the twin battle garb all thanks to Chen Daorang. If I hadn't eaten that shit pear and gotten diarrhea that day, I wouldn't have fallen into the academy's pit and found the twin battle garb." Chen Daorang had not rested for 10 days and nights and was deeply frustrated by this partial and biased patriarch who forgot his obligations after seeing someone attractive. He was indignant when he received a message from his family's token that Chen Kaier's cultivation had been destroyed by Yi Yuma and that he was currently on the verge of death. He was instructed to return home immediately. Meanwhile, on the martial arts stage, Yi Yuma and his twin battle garb had an overwhelming advantage. He lifted Chen Kaier with one hand and said, "I was originally looking for your brother to settle accounts, but he's disappeared these past few days. Why don't you kneel down and apologize for your brother?" The woman spat and said, "I refuse." Upon hearing this, Yi Yuma immediately slapped Chen Kaier in the face. "Do you still think you're the top student in the academy? If you don't kneel, I'll keep hitting you until you do." He then unleashed a furious barrage of attacks, causing the male students below to grind their teeth in anger. "Do you have no compassion for women?" they wondered. Chen Kaier, the goddess of the academy, had already lost the ability to resist. Why didn't Yi Yuma stop? This was clearly a case of settling a personal grudge in public. The dean of the academy not only did nothing to stop it, but even told Yi Yuma to continue. He said that even if he killed Chen Kaier, he would take responsibility for the consequences. The dean already had a new plan in mind. Now, Yi Yuma, who was more obedient, had the twin battle garb left by Senior One. This made him much stronger than Chen Kaier, who had only received some guidance. If he could become Senior One's spokesperson, he could easily increase the academy's influence several times over. Yi Yuma was no longer constrained by any concerns, and even came up with a more malicious idea than simply killing Chen Kaier. He looked at Kaier's long, slender legs and kicked them, breaking her leg bones and shattering her dantian. From then on, the academy's pride and joy became a useless person. At this moment, Chen Daorang sensed that his sister was in danger and angrily demanded that the Patriarch let him go back to save her. But the Patriarch was enjoying the sunshine, the beach, and the bikini-clad girls and couldn't care less about his younger generation. Chen Daorang was furious. "Chen Xian, you're a real scumbag," he said. "If you're intentionally trying to make things difficult for me, just kill me. There's no need to be so cruel. I know I'm useless. The responsibility for our family's decline rests on me. But now my own sister is about to be beaten to death, and you're still favoring others. Rather than being humiliated by you and watching my sister die miserably, I'd rather fight you to the death. Even if I can't win, I'll die like a man." Just then, Chen Daorang suddenly felt a surge of energy coursing through his body. It seemed that his innate thunder and lightning body had been reactivated once again, daring to be so presumptuous towards Patriarch. "Don't you see what changes have happened to your body?" At this moment, he suddenly felt that the narrow spiritual veins had suddenly become extremely broad, and his concentrating realm cultivation that was abolished seemed to have leaped into divine realm. When Baiyu stepped forward and spoke frankly, "Do you think Patriarch wanted to kill you? Patriarch just sealed your battle garb. Abolishing your cultivation was actually sealing your original cultivation. The release of pressure was to seal your speed. Not letting you rest was to seal your physical body. The ultimate goal is to bestow upon you a completely new battle garb." The words have not yet fallen. Suddenly the pill furnace behind him opened on its own. Then a golden light burst out and instantly wrapped around him. This was the four-sealed battle garb, one of the top 10 ancient battle garbs that surpasses the battle garb. Chen Daorang suddenly felt a significant increase in his power. So, Patriarch was doing it for my own good. Then why did he treat me that way before? When continued to speak, the conditions for using the four-sealed battle garb are complicated. The host's four powers must be sealed, and the host's anger must be used as attraction. That's why Patriarch kept provoking you. Once you become extremely angry, the battle garb can be perfectly integrated. Before you arrived, Patriarch spent the whole night selecting battle garb for you. He even sacrificed a 1,000-year essence to unlock the four-sealed battle garb. It was precisely because of this that Patriarch looked so haggard when you arrived. Chen Daorang was flattered. "So, all that trash on the mountain was chosen for me. Then why didn't he just say it directly instead of making it seem like he wanted to kill me?" Luo Qinshan told him that it was Patriarch's quirk. He always beat around the bush when giving good things. He would never say it straightforwardly. He's such a tsundere. The three of them were chattering away, crazy gossiping. Qinshan looked at them, feeling speechless. "If it weren't for the system's requirement that I can't directly give it to you, I wouldn't waste my expressions on you guys." The system was speechless. They promised to punish Chen Daorang, but in the end, they gave him a big gift. Patriarch just pretended to sleep and didn't see it. "Anyway, I didn't give it directly to him, so it doesn't count as a violation, right?" Chen Daorang behind me instantly fell to his knees on the ground. "Thank you, Patriarch, for giving me the battle garb. If I have offended you, please punish me." Chen Xian waved his hand and said, "Don't talk nonsense. I didn't give you anything, and the gift you received is for kneeling to your father. You even kneeled wrong." However, Chen Daorang said with emotion, "My father passed away when I was very young. He was also someone who spoke harshly but was actually kind-hearted, just like you are to me. So I didn't kneel wrong. You are like my father to me." Upon hearing this, the Patriarch immediately stood up with tears streaming down his face and said, "Here, take this little wooden stick and go back and beat up those who bullied your sister." At this time, Yu Ma used the severely injured Chen Kaier as a threat, demanding that the Chen family sign a surrender agreement. The elder of the Chen family had already been bribed, and just as they were about to sign, Chen Daorang arrived in time. "After a few days of not seeing each other, you dare to make decisions for me?" He punching the elder into the ground. Facing Yu Ma's aggressive behavior, Chen Daorang smashed the agreement with one palm and said, "I can't do what you want. If you want to fight me, I'll accompany you to the end. If I lose, my whole family is at your disposal. If I win, I might kill you. If you accept the challenge, we'll see the outcome on the arena tomorrow." The Academy's recognized #1 waste challenged the strongest in the Academy, gambling with the lives of his entire family. Everyone thought he was crazy. Even his sister, who was so strong, couldn't beat Yu Ma. This guy was simply giving himself away. The dean also said, "Umo, you don't have to hold back. Just kill him for me. This time I must teach these people who go against the Academy a lesson and establish my own authority." Yu Ma's face was full of contempt. "Now that I have my twin battle garb on, defeating you is as easy as crushing an ant." Chen Daorang didn't hesitate at all. "You're just lucky to have stumbled upon Lin Senior's inheritance in a dung heap because of me. During the days I was away from home, do you think I didn't come across any opportunities?" Yu Ma was taken aback by the sudden burst of momentum. The confidence he exuded was so strong that he must have really obtained some inheritance or opportunity. While he was still in a daze, Chen Daorang suddenly punched him hard. Yu Ma instinctively activated his protective energy to defend himself, but he didn't expect Chen Daorang to be directly bounced away. Then, he heavily fell to the ground. Yu Ma was stunned by the scene. He was just so fierce a moment ago. What's going on? The dean burst into laughter at the sight. He thought Chen Daorang was so confident and powerful, but he ended up being defeated by Yu Ma with just one move, just like his little sister. The students were also speechless. Indeed, he was a rubbish in the nourished spirit realm, who who couldn't be saved. He even bounced himself off with protective energy when he ran into someone else's. Yuma stepped forward to mock him. What a pretentious trash. I thought you had some real skills, but I didn't even have to make a move before you were done. Chen Daorang explained that he was using his new battle garb in combat for the first time and had forgotten to release its seal. Moreover, the more he sealed himself, the stronger the battle garb became after being unsealed. Before Yuma could start ridiculing him, Chen Daorang suddenly attacked and knocked him down with a single palm strike. Everyone present was amazed. When did this guy become so strong? Chen Daorang also closed his eyes and showed off his arrogance. Yuma was just a mere opponent. I only needed to slightly exert myself to reach his limit. But when he opened his eyes again, Yuma had already disappeared without a trace. Yuma had activated the twin battle garb, dodging the fatal strike. Yuma decided not to hold back and immediately used the 4 forbidden techniques. The 4 spiritual images were startlingly visible, causing everyone to be shocked. These were the spiritual image forbidden techniques passed down by one senior, and even someone as talented as Chen Kaier had only learned one. Yuma had surprisingly learned all 4. The dean couldn't help but exclaim his exceptional talent, stating that with Yuma around, the academy's future was limitless. After the frightening blow earlier, Yuma didn't dare to take things lightly. However, Chen Daorang was completely composed at the moment. You thought I only had that much power earlier? Chen Daorang said, unsealing his speed and landing a kick to Yuma's stomach at an incredible pace. Before Yuma could react, he was sent flying with a palm strike. In an instant, all 4 spiritual images were shattered. This scene left the dean bald in shock. Not only were the spiritual images destroyed, but Yuma's twin battle garb was also shattered. When Senior's twin battle garb is nothing, Chen Daorang boasted. He's just my Patriarch's little brother. I've even peed on his face before. Yuma couldn't believe Chen Daorang had become so strong. You must have used some crooked technique, Yuma accused. Since you don't believe me, Chen Daorang responded, I'll give you no chance to doubt me again. Chen Daorang unleashed his power, including the Divine Realm and Thunderlight body, with the 4 seal battle garb, crushing Yuma completely. What twin battle garb? Chen Daorang sneered. I have 4 seal battle garb, 2 more than you. The dean coughed up blood in disbelief. The 4 seal battle garb was one of the ancient 10 great battle garbs, and he couldn't believe Chen Daorang had reached the Divine Realm first rank. Bai Dongrang couldn't believe his eyes. This legendary battle garb actually existed. At this moment, Yuma has been driven insane. This must be a dream. How could a loser like you be my opponent? Driven by the desire to avenge his sister, Chen Daorang was determined to kill. He launched a full-force palm strike towards Yuma's face, leaving him with no chance of standing up again. The students on the platform looked on in shock and amazement. Chen Daorang had actually killed Yuma, but Chen Daorang was unfazed by this act. Don't make a fuss, he said. It was he who broke the rules and gravely injured my sister. He brought this upon himself. Bai Dongrang was furious to see his prized student killed in such a manner. He only crippled your sister's cultivation. You went too far by killing him. Today, you either pledge allegiance to our academy in Yuma's place, or you die. Chen Daorang was not intimidated in the slightest. I made a life and death agreement with him. Killing him was justified. Are you not afraid of being mocked for attacking a student? In the world of martial arts, strength is paramount. If you don't submit to our White Deer Academy, death is your only option. Life is precious, but if it means our clan must submit to your academy, then I'd rather die. You red-haired old bald donkey. The students were shocked to hear him insult the academy head in public. He doesn't know the meaning of death. Seeing Bai Dongrang's arrogance, Chen Daorang unleashed his trump card, White Whale Dive. This was a move that had once allowed his predecessor, Wen Baiyu, to single-handedly defeat 3 major sects. Sealing release. Followed by the collision of 2 tremendous forces, an astonishing energy burst out instantly, and even disciples with low cultivation levels were directly knocked away. Even the forest miles away was affected by it. Chen Daorang's strength completely exceeded their expectations. After the dust gradually dispersed, the dean could be seen panting and crouching on the ground. The students couldn't help but exclaim, who would have thought Chen Daorang had such power? Even the dean was injured by him. Moreover, what about the dean's hair? Bai Dongrang couldn't help feeling scared. He never expected that a loser could injure him to this extent. With such a record, even if he died, he could leave his mark in the history of the academy. At this moment, a burst of laughter suddenly came from the smoke and dust. If the dean could survive the battle against the 10 ancient battle garbs, he should be the one to leave his mark in history. This scene shocked everyone again. This guy actually didn't die, and he seemed to be completely unscathed. The dean couldn't believe what he saw, and immediately became alert, thinking that this guy must have had powerful magic tools to help him. If he was not eliminated today, he would become a threat in the future. but only Chen Daorang himself knew that he was pretending to be calm but was actually seriously injured, trying to forcibly withstand this attack from a King Realm warrior. He could barely hold on. Chen Daorang, innocent people carry a jade, but those guilty are punished. Don't blame me for being ruthless this time. Before he finished speaking, Bai Dongrang made another move with the white whale falling technique. This move was extremely vicious and rarely used consecutively, because it consumed a large amount of life force. Therefore, when Senior encountered an ambush that year, he retreated from the arena after using this move. Seeing this situation, Chen Daorang no longer concealed his plan. He had originally planned to save the artifact for later use. Looks like there's no other way this time. This is the artifact that I finally managed to retrieve from Patriarch 100,000 years ago. I will definitely use this artifact to smash you to death. Upon hearing this, Bai Dongrang panicked. This guy has the ancient four-sealed battle garb, so it's not surprising if he really has some artifact in his hand. But when Chen Daorang opened it, everyone present was stunned. It was just a piece of firewood. Chen Daorang was dumbfounded. Isn't this the firewood I use for my alchemy furnace? I'm done for now. Bai Dongrang couldn't stop laughing. A waste holding a piece of waste. You really are a perfect match. Everyone was speechless. It turned out that he wasn't uninjured. He was just beaten silly. But at this moment, Chen Daorang still chose to believe in Patriarch. This is something that Patriarch bestowed upon me. It must be an ancient artifact. At the same time, Chen Xian Patriarch looked extremely embarrassed, because he knew that it was really just an ordinary piece of firewood. He was moved to tears by the plot of the protagonist losing his father when he was young, and he accidentally packed the wrong item. He originally wanted to give him a heavy ancient artifact. It was only then that he realized why the system didn't stop him at the time. The system had long known that it was just a piece of waste wood. Now that the situation is urgent, he must break the rules to save this junior. Otherwise, Chen Daorang will undoubtedly die. But the system requires him not to act directly. Patriarch had a sudden inspiration. If I can't help the junior directly, then I'll help the stick. Then he applied spiritual power to the stick through the air. The broken stick instantly restored itself and, with the help of the spiritual power, suddenly spun rapidly. It pierced through Bai Dongrang's spirit body of the giant whale and quickly smashed into his arm. Bai Dongrang's armor shattered instantly, and his entire arm seemed to be twisted. The students were shocked. What kind of terrifying artifact is this stick? Just an ordinary strike shattered all the bones in his hand. Bai Dongrang was shocked, wondering if this terrifying power was the legendary stick intention. When everyone was puzzled about what stick intention was, the wooden stick had already swiftly returned to Chen Daorang's hand. I knew Patriarch wouldn't deceive me. This stick is indeed a divine weapon. At that moment, however, Bai Dongrang's eyes became strange, and his hair suddenly grew wild. Even if you have stick intention, so what? Just so happens that I've been meditating every day for years to regrow my hair, and inadvertently discovered whip intention for myself. Remember, the whip naturally restrains the stick. Since ancient times, those with strong stick intention have never been able to defeat whip intention. You might as well just accept your death. The students were stunned. Suddenly, the bald head of the dean began to grow hair wildly, and he loudly shouted, "Come on, loser. You should feel honored to have come this far with me." Chen Daorang tightly gripped the wooden stick and replied, "Even if the whip restrains the stick, so what? This was given to me by Patriarch. I unconditionally trust Patriarch." But the next moment, his stick was entangled by Bai Dongrang's wild red hair. In the face of Bai Dongrang's ultimate move, he had no more strength to defend himself. Suddenly, Patriarch transmitted a message to Chen Daorang, telling him to try unleashing his stick intention with the four-sealed battle garb. At that moment, the wooden stick in Chen Daorang's hand began to grow larger and larger until it was like a huge needle. With a fierce strike, the giant whale was instantly shattered. Even Bai Dongrang could not understand how stick intention could grow larger, and the continuing growth of the stick even smashed his statue in the distance. Chen Xian looked on with satisfaction at this scene, remarking, "My disciples really are exceptionally gifted." The system was speechless, wondering what kind of stick intention Patriarch had given him, and how it could possibly be so strong. I only passed on my staff skills to my juniors, and did not directly take action. This doesn't count as a foul, does it? But if you want to know what this staff skill is, I'll reluctantly tell you. This is the book I've been studying recently, and it's also the staff skill I learned from the Monkey King. And at this moment, Bai Dongrang seemed to have no vitality left, while Chen Daorang looked at the shrinking staff in his hand. The Patriarch's artifact is indeed terrifying. Immediately, he shouted to the students below the stage, "The dean is dead, and now I am the new dean. Does anyone have any objections?" Everyone present expressed their submission. After all, whoever became the dean was the same to them. It was just the death of an annoying person and the arrival of another. However, Chen Daorang became serious. I want to reform. You don't need to kneel and submit to me. The original intention of Senior when founding the academy was to let everyone practice equally. I won't monopolize all the resources for my own selfish desires like Bai Dongrang. Without destruction, there can be no construction. From today on, I want to create a world where everyone can practice, and no one needs to submit to anyone. From now on, Bailu Academy became a sanctuary for public practice, and Chen Daorang's strength made everyone afraid to have any evil thoughts. Chen Kaier, his younger sister, gradually recovered her health, and the Chen family's reputation and territory once again shook the east of the Hongming realm. At this time, in the 9 Deaths and 1 Life realm, Chen Xian's realm had broken through to the Supreme One Piece Earth rank due to completing a system task, and he no longer had to worry about being attacked by anyone. He then prepared to ask Little Luo to cook, but suddenly found that the Black Thunder Bull Python and the Purple Ghostly Ming Sparrow were both severely injured on the ground. Chen Xian suddenly felt an unprecedented fear. How is this possible? Who did this? Just then, there was a sudden sound behind Chen Xian. Hello, Chen Xian. This is my gift to you. Do you like it? An aquatic element unexpectedly appeared here. In a fit of rage, Chen Xian didn't want to hear him talk. I want you dead. A spiritual hand descended from the sky in an instant. What? Your strength has increased. But in the next second, he sneered. How could it have only increased by a little compared to back then? A large hand covered in blue scales instantly blocked the attack. Ha ha, Chen Xian, you've been hiding here for too long. You can't keep up with the times. You owe so much blood debt from back then, and you still want to escape now? You'll just be a coward and keep running away. In an instant, countless blue giant claws rushed towards Chen Xian. Blood debt must be paid with blood, and it's a destiny that you can't escape. Just as he was panicking, a shout was heard. Patriarch, Patriarch, you're finally awake. The fried chicken you wanted is already done. It turns out that it was all just a dream, but the enemy in the dream felt so real, as if a strong opponent was waiting for him. Chen Daorang, Little Luo, do you think nightmares can come true? Chen Xian asked. Upon hearing this, Luo Qingchen immediately raised his hand and said, Patriarch, I know nightmares. I often have hunger dreams at night because I don't eat to keep my figure, but the more I starve, the bigger they become. I even feel inferior because of it. This theory really stuns people. When the Chen family was down and out, I used to wake up scared by nightmares every day. It's well known that there are grievances in this world. If someone has too much grievance towards you, then you'll have nightmares. So, did you leave behind any enemies with deep grievances, Patriarch? Chen Xian carefully counted on his fingers and replied, I have enemies that I can count on both hands, but that's not a lot. However, the next second, he was so frightened that he foamed at the mouth. It turned out that Chen Xian was counting in tens of thousands. He had lived for 200,000 years and had caused a lot of trouble, accumulating a pile of enemies. At this point, Chen Xian just wanted to become stronger and immediately asked the system, where's my next successor? I want to start trial 3. Don't worry, host, you don't have to wait this time because of an unexpected event. The task started 10,000 years ago because the threat from the demon clan was not completely eradicated. The Merlin that was born from their dead body is now once again a threat to humanity. However, at this moment Zhu Wuyan was still thinking about how to escape the battle. Even the passing old lady couldn't bear to watch. Zhu Wuyan, who now poses a threat to the human race, was ashamed to escape when even dogs can cultivate, but he had a sad expression on his face. Do you really think I don't want to participate in the battle? It's military regulations that prohibit disabled people from participating in the war. Then he pulled out a disability certificate. So you're disabled, the old lady said. Did we blame you wrongly? But you have all your limbs intact. Where are you disabled? Faced with the old lady's questioning, he knew he couldn't hide it any longer. He had to show them his most vulnerable scar by opening his mouth wide. They looked at it for a long time but couldn't see any problem. Zhu Wuyan was now in tears. Can't you see it? He cried. I was born without tonsils. This is the most important organ for humans. Without tonsils, how can I fight? The old lady couldn't take it anymore. Fuck you, you're embarrassing. How can you apply for a disability certificate for such a trivial matter? I'll beat you up and make you disabled for real today. But a figure came and stopped them. Is Zhu Wuyan okay? Zhu Wuyan pretended not to know, but Malamo, who wanted to climb the ranks and become rich, did not intend to let him go. He wanted to kill Zhu Wuyan with one sword. At this critical moment, Zhu Wuyan's heart was pounding. The battle garb of the war god was guiding him to fight. However, he had been farming diligently for decades. How could he be a match for a Divine Realm powerhouse? Seeing the opponent's sword about to fall, he suddenly stood up. With one swing of his hoe, he unleashed an immense power and knocked down the opponent. It turned out that when he was sitting paralyzed on the ground, Zhu Wuyan saw that Mao Mo had actually stepped on the rice seedlings that he had worked so hard to plant. "You can kill me, but dare to destroy my planted rice seedlings. Be careful, I'll kill you." This provoked an endless fighting spirit in Zhu Wuyan. You see, the only thing Zhu Wuyan cared about was his own land. Mao Men hurriedly stepped forward to stop him. "Don't kill my brother. I will compensate you for the rice seedlings." Zhu Wuyan pointed at her nose and shouted sternly, "But you have to compensate me with a whole penny. And if you dare to speak of my power, I'll kill him too." Mao Men repeatedly promised, but her mind was full of Zhu Wuyan's moves just now. If she guessed correctly, was that really the war god Rock? In other words, he had been the war god all along? The two of them had to rush back to the battlefield as soon as possible. When they arrived, they were stunned by the scene before them. The ground was littered with the corpses of the human race, and Merlin was in charge. The surviving fighting force had only one person left, General Wuho, and all the others were wounded. Moreover, there had been no news from the people sent out to find the war god. Now, he could only stand up again, forcibly overexerting his body. "Ancestor war god, come down and help me." At this point, if the human race wanted to survive, they had to risk their lives. However, he was lower in rank than Merlin, and he was injured, so he was quickly defeated. Mao Men anxiously watched this scene. General Wuho. She couldn't care too much and wanted to tell the general about her discovery, but she was stopped by a figure in front of her. "Stop. Are you trying to get Zhu Wuyan to kill me?" Mao Men was completely enraged by her brother's selfishness at this critical juncture and slapped him. "Get out of my way. Only cares about oneself, a coward who bullies the weak and fears the strong." Then he went straight to the marshal. "Wuho, we found the war god, but I need time to invite him over. This news is like a shot of adrenaline, giving the desperate human army great hope. Then you go quickly. I will hold on until you come back." At this time, Zhu Wuyan was tying a rope on a tree because he was afraid of being sent to death on the battlefield if his strength was exposed. He was about to hang herself. Rather than being killed by Merlin, he would rather end her own life. Suddenly a voice came. "Zhu Wuyan, what are you doing?" He was already very nervous, but he was so scared that he kicked the stool away and swung on the tree. Mao Men thought he was swinging on a swing and wanted to explain, but he couldn't catch his breath and couldn't say anything. Mao Men said to him, "You don't have to say anything. I have already told Wuho about your identity. Now the human race needs you. Please come and fight with me." Zhu Wuyan remained silent all the time. She thought that Zhu Wuyan was still angry about her brother's matter, so she had to say, "As long as you are willing to help the human race, I am willing to die for my brother." But Zhu Wuyan still didn't say a word. She seemed to remember something at this moment. "Then you said that as long as I married you, you would go to the battlefield." "Okay, I will marry you." Suddenly, with a bang, Mao Men was attracted by this movement and saw Zhu Wuyan slowly rising and floating in the air. At the critical moment, he actually erupted with endless small universe. Is this for real? Because of love, this peasant suddenly learned to fly. On the battlefield, Wuho led the last remnants, resisting until the end, unaware that all of this was Merlin's trap, designed to lure out the war god. Despite this, the human race was on the verge of collapse. With a crack, Wuho's war spear broke in response to the last attack, and after countless battles, he ultimately died at the hands of Merlin. Countless cries echoed on the battlefield. "Marshal!" The final attack had already been launched towards him, but suddenly, a hoe appeared before his eyes and blocked the attack at the critical moment. Both sides were stunned at the scene. "What? A human can block my attack?" Zhu Wuyan had arrived just in time at the last moment. Is this the war god? Zhu Wuyan was internally flustered, having never seen a demon before, especially not one with such a ferocious appearance. Both sides stared at each other in disbelief. Is this the war god? And is he really at zero cultivation? It turns out this was a fake war god, delaying time. "All demons listen up. Quickly kill the human army." The entire demon army rushed out with countless roars. The demon general directly attacked Zhu Wuyan, shouting, "I'll eat you now." Zhu Wuyan tightly gripped the hoe in fear, closed his eyes, and swung forward with all his might. This attack unexpectedly directly annihilated Merlin's army. Wuho widened his eyes in disbelief. Those were all nourished spirit realm experts, second only to the commanders. Was that the intent of the war god's spear? Qinshan of the 9 Deaths and One Life realm watched this scene with satisfaction. I knew that battle garb was perfect for this guy. You see, the strength of battle garb doesn't depend on one's cultivation, but rather on the intensity of the emotions of its owner. With victory in sight, the humans were cheering and jumping for joy. To show their sincerity, he shouted to Zhu Wuyan, "Great one! If you can save the humans, We'll offer up 100,000 mu of fertile land. This statement struck right at Zhu Wuyan's heart. What farmer doesn't love land? He had to fight for that 100,000 mu of fertile land. He swung his hoe at the newly arrived demon, but the arrogant demon only raised his hand to block it and sneered. Besides being faster, do you really think a hoe can be used as a weapon? How ridiculous. But the next moment, he regretted his words. A tremendous force erupted, enveloping the entire battlefield. What incredible power! Battle Garb was definitely going to win. Zhu Wuyan helplessly looked ahead and asked, "Did I solve it?" Fighting was exhausting, but suddenly a burst of laughter rang out. A huge, grotesque hand slowly extended. "Little ant, do you think I'm one of those foot soldiers? I have 100,000 demons living inside me. If you want to fight me, you have to kill me 100,000 times." This man, who was covered in heads and bodies, was a weapon specifically designed to kill humans. After surviving a devastating attack, not only did he not die, but he also unleashed an even greater force. Watching this horrifying scene before him, Zhu Wuyan was stunned on the spot. He was slapped into the ground with one hand and then bombarded with countless attacks. Each move was a deadly blow from the 100,000 demons who died at the hands of humans. Each strike was a fatal strike to the soul. Yes, he's right. I, Zhu Wuyan, can't do it alone. Looking at the god of war who was powerless to resist, the demon king suddenly felt bored. Chi, kill him. This monster's body suddenly showed a deep abyssal mouth, opening its mouth to swallow Zhu Wuyan. The human soldiers wept bitterly. Lord God of War, Zhu Wuyan. But suddenly, a loud shout rang out, and they were stunned. With a hoe, Zhu Wuyan struck down and killed 100,000 merlins in an instant. So, I can't possibly cultivate these 100,000 acres alone. It turns out he was just thinking about how to cultivate these 100,000 acres earlier. He also wanted a cow. Huh, great God, is this it? With your status, you can ask for something higher. Isn't having a cow already high enough? I wouldn't dare dream of being so presumptuous. But even if I give you a cow, you still won't be able to till the land. I'll give you 1,000 cows. The demon king was speechless but helpless. He could only take action himself. A lump of flesh bulged from his chest and turned into a ferocious eye. That was the demon eye that had unsealed the god of war's abyssal seal 1,000 years ago. Legend has it that the god of war had sealed the demon race within a barrier that even the peak of the king realm couldn't break. 1,000 years ago, Lingtong broke the seal with a single blow from the demon eye, and the Merlin clan saw the light of day again. I didn't expect to see the demon eye again on this day. Countless energy gathered towards it, and it erupted with unparalleled power, directly piercing through Zhu Wuyan. Warning, host descendant dead. Mission failed. Trial 3 has ended. You can't proceed to the next continent. Black energy swirled around Chen Xian's body. Don't be angry. I'll choose the second option for you. But Chen Xian remained calm. It turns out that the chicken wings were just burnt. Don't worry, the emperor isn't in a hurry, so why should the eunuch be in a hurry? That's the battle garb of the war god. As long as the fighting spirit is not extinguished, the war god will not die. Zhu Wuyan resurrected at full health. Unexpectedly, with one hoe strike, a large hole was dug in his chest, causing the entire audience to gasp in shock. All of this was under the control of Chen Xian. Alas, after the fight, let's go home and farm. But suddenly, a pair of hands grabbed his neck, and when he turned his head, he saw that it was the Demon King. Why didn't he die? In the next second, Zhu Wuyan was stunned, as the battle garb of the war god also appeared on his body, and the Demon King even pulled out Zhu Wuyan's battle garb of the war god. It turns out that he had obtained a piece of the war god's remains 100,000 years ago, and he had survived for 100,000 years with it. The goal of this time was to find the remaining remains. Just now, he deliberately showed a flaw to lure out the battle garb of the war god. He quickly fused the remains into a new war god, breaking directly through to the emperor realm, and even restoring his youth. You human beings should all die. A demon eye the size of a meteor appeared in the sky, releasing a devastating attack that could destroy the world. People's hearts were filled with despair, but the attack suddenly bounced back, hitting the Lingtong, and causing he to spit out a mouthful of blood. Who is it? Who blocked my attack? He. I heard that you are also a person from 100,000 years ago, so you should remember my name. I am the Dark Emperor Chen Xian. He was once a human baby, but after 100,000 years, he became a generation of demon kings, leading the demons to ravage human beings, just because he was hunted by Merlin 100,000 years ago. But he was just a useless waste who couldn't cultivate, and was cruelly abandoned by the human race. Even his own mother had abandoned him. At the moment he thought he was going to die, the god of war killed the demons with his hands, but also abandoned him. At this moment, he had completely lost hope, but the god of war gave him hope again by telling him to fight or die. Under the guidance of the god of war, he unleashed an infinite cosmos, which is why he is who he is now. Chen Xian was slightly surprised and said that it wasn't what he heard. He was there at the time. It turns out that 100,000 years ago, he wanted to eat hot pot but had no base material, so he borrowed some spirit grass from the spirit tribe. However, the spirit tribe pursued him relentlessly and demanded that he return their tribe's treasure. After chasing them for 3 days and nights, he waved his hand and created a no-fly zone. But he made a big move, which caused part of the God of War's battle garb to fall off and was then picked up by Ling Tong. But who would believe this? Moreover, the God of War told him that he would die if he didn't fight. Chen Xian couldn't believe that the person who said such things was really the God of War. Chen Xian felt embarrassed upon hearing this. The truth was that after he opened the God of War abyss, he remembered that he had the base material, but he lacked dipping sauce for his hot pot. Suddenly, he went crazy and said that he had to dip it in bean paste. If he didn't, he would feel very unlucky. Therefore, there was no guidance from the God of War, and everything was his own doing. His faith of 100,000 years was destroyed by his own actions. And how could Ling Tong easily believe him? He summoned all his energy and transformed completely into the God of War battle garb, deciding to crush Chen Xian. People watched in horror as the true God of War raised his fist the size of a mountain. The invincible power split the ground open. "Die!" he shouted. But Chen Xian looked unhappy. "Why does no one believe me when I speak recently?" he wondered. In the next moment, he disappeared and appeared in front of Ling Tong. He slapped him hard, and at the same time, a giant spirit hand struck Ling Tong, scattering his body. This slap stunned Ling Tong. "Are you the Xintian Emperor?" Even the immortal war god was easily defeated by him. Who else could it be but the Xintian Emperor from years ago? "If I don't run now, I'll die for sure." With a swish, he shot towards the war god abyss. The Xintian Emperor's power was too terrifying. Not running would mean certain death. Zhu Wuyan was astonished by the scene. Even the Demon King is running away. Could that person really be the Patriarch? Realizing this, he immediately kneeled down. "Patriarch, please destroy Ling Tong, or he'll surely come back to get revenge on the human race." "Ah, you finally believe me now?" But he had no intention of saving him. "I'm just here to see the ditch I dug." Zhu Wuyan was getting anxious. "Patriarch, stop talking nonsense. The war god abyss has great significance to our human race. Please go deal with Ling Tong." So far, this person still thinks that Chen Xian is deceiving him and keeps muttering, "Patriarch, I believe in you, but please don't pretend to be a war god." Chen Xian was speechless. Even after living in seclusion for 100,000 years, no one believed him. He decided not to say anything and show them who the true ruler of this continent was. Suddenly, 2 giant hands descended from the sky, connecting heaven and earth, and slammed down on both sides of the war god abyss. With a single thought, they forcibly closed the war god abyss, and at that moment, the world fell silent. Zhu Wuyan stopped complaining, but the Ling Tong inside the war god abyss suffered a great loss. At that moment, he finally realized his mistake. The prophecy about the war god's return to the mortal world did not refer to him or Zhu Wuyan, but rather to the Xintian Emperor, Chen Xian. It took Einstein 100 years to discover the laws of crustal movement, but the mountain in front of them suddenly teleported 100 feet, directly breaking his theory. It turned out that Chen Xian was responsible for all of this. He merged the war god abyss into the war god peak, and the Ling Tong was also shaken to death inside. However, his hatred did not dissipate, and with the battle garb of the war god, he was immortal and would eventually come back to seek revenge. The Mighty One, when Ling Tong returns in the future, will you still help us? Chen Xian's answer instantly shocked them. "Why should I save you? What does your death have to do with me?" However, to completely solve Ling Tong, they still needed Zhu Wuyan because to solve Ling Tong, someone had to take on his battle body and soul, and Zhu Wuyan was undoubtedly the best candidate. However, with the battle garb of the war god, Zhu Wuyan would always be drawn into battles, and the Ling Tong's resentful soul would always affect him, causing him to bear double the pain and could die at any moment. Would Zhu Wuyan still be willing to accept? After all, he was afraid to even step onto the battlefield before. Therefore, Chen Xian did not force him, and if he refused, he could live peacefully as a farmer. Upon hearing this, Zhu Wuyan's face lit up with joy, and he ran directly to Mao Men. "Wife, regarding this decision, I first have to apologize to you." After experiencing what just happened, she didn't want Zhu Wuyan to suffer anymore. Then she heard a sound of apology, and Zhu Wuyan hugged her tightly. "I've decided to take on the battle garb of the war god. Let's put our marriage on hold for now, or else you'll be a widow." This sudden turn of events stunned everyone, and the Mao men couldn't come to their senses for a long time. In fact, after experiencing war, Zhu Wuyan also understood why people knowingly risked their lives without hesitation. It was because everyone had something they wanted to protect with their lives. Now he also has an important person, so he can't continue to be worthless. Before, everyone said that the invincible warrior was the war god, but now Zhu Wuyan believes that those who bravely face death are the true war gods. Patriarch, I, the junior Zhu Wuyan, am willing to take on the battle garb of the war god. I have no regrets in this life. His passionate speech made everyone see Zhu Wuyan in a new light. Not bad, kid. You've finally earned the Patriarch's approval. The Patriarch then passed the soul of the Lingtong and the battle garb of the war god to him. He casually extracted the soul of Lingtong and said, "Lingtong, behave yourself inside the body of my junior." At this point, Lingtong didn't dare to act up anymore and was immediately integrated into Zhu Wuyan's body by Qianxian. At this moment, the system's voice rang out, announcing that the junior Zhu Wuyan had completely resolved the Merlin crisis and had reached the 7th level of the Emperor realm. And so the war finally came to an end. But suddenly a green light shot straight up into the sky, and because the power of the host had affected the earth, the burial ground of the spirit race had emerged prematurely. As a result, the 4th trial was opened ahead of schedule. The goal, for any junior to take the inheritance of the spirit race. Unexpectedly, after robbing the spirit tribe back then, now they have to go and dig up their ancestral grave. This is really unfortunate for them. Zhu Wuyan, the Patriarch, wants you to take down the inheritance in that tomb. Only success is allowed, not failure. This is a conch shell higher than the mountain, and with just a slight squint, even Ed Stafford dare not act rashly. However, Lingtong cannot tolerate this anger, and when the conch shell opened its fangs to eat him, the one-strike battle god gun directly killed it. After accepting Qianxian's task, Zhu Wuyan searched for several days in the wilderness, and several days of sleeping in the wind and eating outside directly allowed Lingtong to take control of his mind. He also met Ed Stafford, who was surviving in the wilderness and was hiding from the pursuit of the conch shell behind a small hill. The conch shell, which covered the sky and the sun, was just a meal in Lingtong's eyes, and he killed it instantly. Ed Stafford widened his eyes because he could not sense any cultivation aura from Lingtong's body. The use of the battle garb of the war god even made Zhu Wuyan sober up. He looked at the conch shell in front of him in confusion, and a green bubble emerged from his mouth, which instantly erupted with a strong suction force, sucking the entire conch shell inside. And then he burped. Only then did he realize that the meat of the conch he just obtained had disappeared like this. Seeing this scene, Ed Stafford believed that this was definitely a conch shell that had lived for 100,000 years, and the green bubble was going to hatch a conch girl. At the same time, the bubble also changed from green to pink, and the two of them looked at the spectacle in front of them with anticipation. With the sound of the eggshell cracking, something was really about to come out, but the next second, they destroyed their own eyes and strangled themselves. Even if they died, they did not want to see this thing. Originally, when he came out, not only was he not a girl, but also a fat uncle. The key is that he dances without clothes, with a look of affection. Zhu Wuyan immediately wanted to take justice into his own hands and grabbed a hoe. But strangely, not only did he fail to harm him, but he was also hugged by the greasy uncle. "Master, I missed you so much." This astonishing touch made Zhu Wuyan, who had already been hungry for several days, vomit blood. What shocked him the most was that the attack automatically bypassed this person. After the uncle hugged Zhu Wuyan, he looked a little puzzled. This breath and feeling are not right. Although there is the laziness of a master, it is far from him. This is actually a dead pervert who imitates his master. He pushed Zhu Wuyan out again. Who is the pervert? It turns out that his master was chased by the spirit tribe for 3 days to make hot pot, and then he fell asleep on a conch shell and slept until now. So he asked, "What year is it now? Do you know where the spirit tribe is?" "Oh, elegant gentleman, it is now the Kanglan year. The spirit tribe you mentioned has already become a tomb." The uncle was struck by lightning. Damn it. Does that mean he has been sleeping naked for 100,000 years, and the powerful spirit tribe died too? Did they die together with my master? At the thought of this, he immediately got up. Even if the spirit tribe died and became a tomb, I will still avenge my master. Seeing that he wanted to run away, Zhu Wuyan immediately chased after him. "You stole my conch shell and want to run?" Ed Stafford watched with envy as the two of them flew away. Why are their bodies so strong? He wondered. He recalled the features of the two. Damn it. Does starving and not wearing clothes make you stronger? And so, a legend of a naked man in the wilderness was born. On the other side, Chen Daorang ate roasted meat while Luo Qingchen reminded him that they were very close to the tomb of the spirit clan, and roasting meat could easily attract attention. However, Chen Daorang was full of complaints. "It's okay, Sister Luo. You're already in the divine realm, 3rd grade. What are you afraid of? Could it be that there are still people coming to steal our barbecue in this wilderness?" It turned out that they were also sent by Qianxian to take down the tomb of the spirit clan. However, Qianxian invited Luo Qingchen to eat barbecue to help her advance to the divine realm. Seeing this, Chen Daorang couldn't help but feel envious and asked Chen Xian for some benefits. Patriarch, I have been lacking fatherly love since I was young. Now you suddenly want me to embark on a long journey. Can't you give me some treasures like you did for junior sister, even if it's just a hair of yours? I can carry it with me to remember you. Under his strong request, Chen Xian had to give him a hair, not knowing that it was originally intended for Xian Heavy Ruler. But he couldn't resist Chen Daorang's emotional appeals. Suddenly, a voice came. Oh no, little brother, please don't chase me anymore. I smell food. Can I make it up to you? Chen Daorang was curious about the source of the voice. The ground under his butt suddenly rose up, and his buttocks tightened. A hoe hit its mark, and the pain was so excruciating that it tore at his heart. Zhu Wuyan and another person had followed the scent and arrived. They looked up and saw the roasted meat. Without a word, they grabbed and ate it. Chen Daorang, who was ambushed, clutched his buttocks in pain and lay on the ground. Who are these robbers who dare to steal my barbecue? The two of them looked embarrassed, but the movement of the mouth did not stop for a moment. Zhu Wuyan brandished his war god spear and tried to strike, but Chen Daorang managed to dodge it, albeit with a slight scratch. The intense battle spirit between them shocked both of them. Zhu Wuyan took the opportunity to flee, shouting, "Thanks for the hospitality." Furious, Chen Daorang exclaimed, "Don't run if you have the guts." He was about to pursue Zhu Wuyan but was stopped by Luo Qingchen, who said, "Don't chase after them. These two can escape from us, so they must be strong." Chen Daorang calmed down and realized that he had encountered such a powerful enemy outside unexpectedly. I can't even compare to senior sister. Can these punks outside still bully me? Senior sister, I have to take this seriously. I must obtain the inheritance of the Spirit Clan to prove that our Xintian Emperor clan is the strongest. Meanwhile, in the 9 Deaths and 1 Life realm, a group of people were riding on several male lions, heading forward. They turned out to be from the Haoyue Kingdom. When the king learned that not only had the soul-eating pearl been stolen but also the Starfall map had been given away, she immediately rebuked them and ordered them to bring it back. Your Majesty, we can't do that. If we anger that powerful figure, he might wipe out our country with a wave of his hand. But if we don't get it back, Haoyue Kingdom will be destroyed by others. They continued their search in the 9 Deaths and 1 Life realm, but were stopped by a cat on their way. The diamond male lion directly patted it away. The king clapped his hands in approval. What makes a stray cat worthy to play with a noble lion? However, they regretted it the next second. A thud resounded twice. A huge roar echoed through the sky. 2 noble and pure-blooded great demons, the Shadow Wolves, appeared before them. It turned out that the little cat just now was their child, but now they couldn't spare any time for shock. Duan Muley gave the order directly. Don't be afraid. The bloodline of the Diamond Lion is also strong. Go! However, what happened next was beyond everyone's expectations. The 3 Diamond Lions directly defected. They crouched cutely in front of the Shadow Wolves, barking twice and wagging their tails. At this point, they were already powerless to resist the terrifying pressure. The king fell to his knees with a bang. Suddenly, a voice came. Don't be rude to guests. They are guests of Patriarch. Do you want to be neutered by Patriarch? The 3 turned their heads to look, and it turned out to be the world's #1 great demon, the purple shadow sparrow, standing with someone on its back. The shadow wolves that were just imposing earlier fled directly, but the person's next words shattered their worldview. Are you 3 here to find my master? You've got the wrong place. This is just my master's litter box. The king Realm Strong referred to him as master, and he said this desert is just a litter box. Their brains stopped functioning. Arriving at Patriarch's residence, Duan Muley looked disgusted. The spiritual energy of this place is not great. But soon, she screamed repeatedly, I broke through. I broke through with such rich spiritual energy. How did this happen? Old One looked at them with a grin. Guest, you encountered the steam from the sauna room. Your Majesty, I told you that this powerful person is not on the same level as you. They won't even look at us. Let's just go home. But she is the owner of the world's top material country. Even though her face is still flushed, how could we give up now? The next second, she suddenly burst into tears. The iceberg fruit tree, a top-quality spirit medicine weighed by the pound, thousands of acres of legendary melting mountain water lotus, and the 9-turn golden peng fruit, which has been turning for 1,000 years, are all considered garbage by him. Duan Muley quickly adjusted her mindset. It's just that his resources are better than mine. If necessary, I can use myself as a bargaining chip. After all, I am the most beautiful person in the world. Even though this tactic is terrible, it is indeed popular. At this moment, countless thunderbolts sounded in the sky, and a figure appeared. They stared dumbfounded at the perfect body holding a barbell while working out. Weren't you the ones who saved my juniors back then? It seems that I owe you a favor, then tell me what you want. The 3 of them had already crashed. This person was actually using the Black Thunder Bull Python at the King Realm level to train his arm strength. And in terms of temperament and looks, your majesty can't compare at all. Duan Mili was completely convinced. To make someone as powerful as him owe a favor, you are the greatest hero of our Haoyue country in history. Chen Daorang tracked down the spiritual clan inheritance all the way here, but as soon as he appeared, he was surrounded. Before the spiritual tomb opened, he wanted to enter before our major sections. Does he not consider us at all? They thought that with the guidance of the Starfall map, they would be the first ones. Unexpectedly, this place has been occupied. At this moment, someone flew out of the crowd. Who are these insignificant people? Do you not know if the order of entry has been arranged? Hurry up and report your name. I'll rank you, but remember to have your elders kneel and thank me. No. Who are you? We are from which sect and clan? You are not qualified to know. Although he was publicly challenged, there are many sects here, so he, as an elder, cannot directly lash out. How dare you? You don't even know the largest sect in the world. Hanma Yudru, you're 8 years old this year. As the strongest newcomer in our sect, take care of them. A young man with a ghostly back stepped forward. It seems I must teach you old-timers a lesson. Suddenly, 2 people on the ground caught Chen Daorang's attention. It was the duo of leg thieves, Zhu Wuyan. Senior sister, I'll go get revenge now. Chen Daorang, don't be rash. We don't know their strength yet. This completely ignored Hanma Yudru's actions and thoroughly angered him. You scoundrels. You don't take me, the top newcomer, seriously? Have you considered the cost of ignoring me? I'll use the dragon-slaying sword to slaughter you all, you worthless dogs. Legend has it that this is a legendary spiritual weapon that was made famous at Starbucks. Using such a treasure to kill ants is like using a sledgehammer to crack a nut. The bigwigs of the sect also take advantage of the opportunity to show off. After all, we are the largest sect in the world. It's standard practice to give newcomers a top-quality weapon. Heh. Finally, all the sects in the world have gathered together. Of course, we need to find a reason to show off. Hanma Yudru, hurry up and kill these garbage. At this time, Zhu Wuyan had just woken up. After escaping from Chen Daorang, he had arrived here early. Oh my god, did the guy we owed money to last night show up? What a petty person. Can't we just eat a few legs of his? After being played last time, Chen Daorang didn't dare to be careless. He took out a huge stick from his pocket. What do you mean you only ate a few legs? This scene caused everyone to burst out laughing. What kind of garbage sect is this? Their weapon is just a broken wooden stick. Hanma Yudru raised the dragon-slaying knife high. Even a poor and inferior trash like you dare to show off in public. Die for me. But suddenly the dragon-slaying knife shattered instantly. Both the person and the knife were hammered away. The entire crowd was stunned. Only a huge stick covering the sky and the sun was seen. It slammed down with a loud bang. The explosion echoed throughout the scene. It turns out that Chen Daorang had just enlarged a tree branch and accidentally hit Hanma Yudru with it. Who can he reason with now? This power is probably beyond that of a top-quality artifact. Compared to this, the dragon-slaying knife is simply garbage. Chen Daorang looked at the scene before him with great pride. But the next moment, they were all shocked. This person actually flew out unharmed. We just wanted to eat a few legs. Was there a need to cause such a commotion? Looks like I have to return the favor. God of War, Overlord Spear. Here we go again. But it's so huge. The #1 sect in the world has gone completely crazy. What kind of ghostly tool is this hoe? Hanma Yudru, the strongest creature on the surface, stood up after being knocked down in the distance. So what if your weapon is good? I have a ghost-back steel bone body. This little bit of damage is nothing. Just as he finished speaking, he flew up again. Zhu Wuyan's attack hit him directly. The light waves kept washing over his body, and he flew off again in a spiral. What is this now? Hanma Yudru, holding the top-grade spiritual weapon dragon-slaying knife in his hand. At this moment, he begged his master to take him home. The 4 legendary battle bodies appeared in the sky. The hoe and the stick have become equipment that surpasses the extreme quality. The leader's brain of the #1 sect in the world is already calculating. Luo Qinshan saw the thief who stole and dared to fight back. In a fit of anger, he transformed into the great Sun Yan god body. Live like a flame, die like a fire, burn the heavens and flame slash. Suddenly, a phoenix cried out in the sky. The #1 sect in the world trembled in fear. Zhu Wuyan looked at the overwhelming flames with a disdainful expression. What's the use? Just avoid it. Suddenly, his eyes became hollow. His Lingtong unexpectedly intervened at this critical moment. You want to leave? This is the great Sun Divine Flame. Your mortal body will die if it touches it. Zhu Wuyan's body was imprisoned in place. A figure suddenly stepped forward. He opened his arms and stood in front of him. Little brother, don't panic. I feel that we have an inexplicable destiny. Let me, Uncle Qingpeng, block this move for you. A scream echoed throughout the spiritual tomb. The body fell directly from the air. Zhu Wuyan also recovered his body at this time. Fatty, what are you doing? Only Luo Qingchen stood proudly, fighting without mercy. This is the price of your arrogance. This scene completely aroused Zhu Wuyan's battle garb. Fatty, I remember this kindness. I will definitely avenge you. But the next second he was ecstatic. Ah, it's okay, it's okay. Uncle Qingpeng, I'm sleeping here. Fatty, you're not dead? Why would I be dead? My master said. No matter what pain you experience, as long as you sleep well, the pain will disappear with the dream. Before he finished speaking, the flames on his body had already gone out. Chen Daorang and Luo Qingchen looked at this scene in surprise. Senior sister, your great son Divine Flame actually went out. Only Luo Qingchen knew that it didn't go out, it disappeared inexplicably. Originally, this was one of the ancient battle garbs, the Sleepy Buddha battle garb. Since the appearance of Zhu Wuyan, the head of the largest sect in the world, his mouth seems to have never closed, either in shock or on the way to being shocked. Moreover, this Sleepy Buddha battle garb is said to gain cultivation just by sleeping and has invincible defense during sleep. What's the strongest creature on the surface? It's nothing compared to this. This has completely ignited the fighting spirit of the four people. Chen Daorang unleashes all four Thunderbolt bodies. In that case, if you choose to be our enemy, let your ancestor come and collect the corpses. Zhu Wuyan's War God battle garb is fully activated. Although fighting is troublesome, I want to see if you can withstand a few moves from me. Luo Qingchen is not falling behind either. She activates her great son Yang God battle garb. Isn't it to see if you can withstand a few moves from us? You guys are no match for us. Of course, this lively scene couldn't be without the fat guy. The Sleepy Buddha battle garb is fully activated. Little brother, rest assured. If they dare to bully you with their numbers, I'll help you. Suddenly, the four shadow images of the four great fierce beasts converge in the sky. The collision of their oppressive forces alone is deafening, and the people on the ground dare not approach. What kind of monsters are these newcomers? Each one has such good equipment. At this moment, Han Mayudru's voice comes from the side. Master, I want to go home. Patriarch now kneels directly in front of the woman and claims to be a commoner who can be at her disposal. It turns out that the Great Wu nation is his descendant's power. 10,000 years ago, Great Wu unified the North Wilds and has now fallen into a small country, constantly facing the annexation of the North's largest country, Great Zhou. The Haoyue nation was supported by Great Wu to rise, so the woman in front of them went through countless hardships to find him and get the Starfall map in an attempt to obtain the inheritance of the spirit race and then assist Great Wu. After learning the news, Chen Xian triggered the system task to save the successor of the Great Wu host, but he couldn't directly intervene. The reward was a one-time combat field, so he immediately decided, this map won't be given to you. Chen Xian, the commoner, pays respects to the king of Haoyue country and declares himself as the king's servant. You can command me as you wish. Chen Xian's clever move frightened everyone present. Great power, the people exclaimed. What are you doing? The queen asked, incredulous. How dare she become Chen Xian's king? So Chen Xian explained, no, your majesty. Instead of you inheriting and guarding the Great Wu, it's better to let me become your subject and directly protect the Great Wu. Isn't that better? The queen couldn't believe her ears and called it impossible. Chen Xian calmly replied, it's nothing, your majesty. The Great Wu was created by me 100,000 years ago. This way, I can protect my descendants. The queen was finally relieved from her shock. Legend has it that 100,000 years ago, the Great Wu had a founding patriarch. Could Chen Xian be him? So, she decided to take Chen Xian to see the Great Wu. Meanwhile, inside the Great Wu dynasty, the little princess Wan Qing was being choked by the king of Dezhou, who held her by the neck with one hand. You Great Wu people are still resisting. Is this your vow to never surrender the power of the dragon vein? My little princess Wan Qing? It turns out that in the Hongmeng continent, where the martial arts prevail, people with cultivation talents can form cultivation organizations. Once they reach their peak, they can massacre ordinary people with ease. The only way out for ordinary people is to join the empire. Although the members of the empire are also ordinary people, they have the power to fight against cultivators, the dragon vein power. However, only emperors can control the dragon vein power. There were cases where cultivator forces massacred the people of a dynasty, but eventually, the king single-handedly annihilated the entire force. Therefore, no matter how strong a cultivator may be, they cannot resist the dragon vein power of an emperor. But the dynasty also had its flaws. The dynasty could only have one emperor who possessed the power of dragon veins, and the cost of using it was the emperor's life. So when the king of the Great Zhou dynasty mastered the talent to cultivate, he aggressively expanded his desire for the dragon vein power of the world. And Great Wu was his last stop. What the emperor lacked most was longevity. As long as the princess surrendered the power of the dragon veins, he was willing to grant her the talent to cultivate. Moreover, he had already cultivated a 1,000-year lifespan and become a powerful king realm expert. If the princess refused, he would decide to kill all the people of Great Wu. The ministers on the side quickly spoke up, saying that the princess could not surrender the power of the dragon veins. If she did, the Great Zhou would control Great Wu. You would also die. Despite the threat, he did not hesitate any longer. He immediately gathered energy in his right hand, preparing to kill them. At the critical moment, the princess suddenly erupted with energy, which slowly dissipated in the man's hand. A white divine dragon appeared in the sky. Ha ha ha. Finally, it has emerged. The only young princess sacrificed her life to activate the power of the dragon veins in order to save Great Wu. But in the face of such an attack, the other side remained calm and even ridiculed her. How ridiculous! Do you, a young dragon, think you can defeat me? Before he could finish speaking, the princess directly killed him. The princess was also about to die from exhaustion of her life force. The ministers looked at everything with sadness, but suddenly they looked behind them in horror. Ha ha! Who said I was dead? I am the Dragon Slayer personally appointed by the Great Zhou, and I have collected dozens of dragon vein powers for the Great Zhou. How could I die easily? Seeing the enemy resurrected, the ministers were incredulous. How could there be someone who survived a hit from the dragon veins? Now was not the time for them to be shocked, as the opponent had already come to kill. He delivered a fatal punch to the princess, and his body immediately began to expand as he repeatedly kicked the dying princess. Do you know the benefits of a long lifespan? The ministers helplessly watched the scene unfold. Don't do it! The princess's remaining lifespan was limited, and another hit would undoubtedly be fatal. At this final moment, the princess helplessly gazed at her enemy. Haha! Die for me! His body continued to expand, and it seemed as though he was going to self-destruct, but suddenly, he was slapped and sent flying. The explosion reverberated throughout the sky. As it turned out, Chen Xian had finally arrived and intervened just in time. The ministers watched in disbelief as they looked up at the sky. Do you really think you can take down the Great Wu with just you? They turned toward the sound and saw that it was the king of Haoyue Kingdom. Why are you here? If you interfere, the Great Zhou will destroy your country. Little did they know that the person in front of them was none other than the Patriarch Chen Xian. Now, you should be worried about Great Zhou being destroyed. It was only then that they remembered. Could it be from 10,000 years ago? Suddenly, Chen Xian looked up at the sky in surprise. The enemy, who had just been blown to pieces, had miraculously been reborn. Haha! Who is this Shantian Emperor? Even the Jade Emperor couldn't kill me. I made a contract with 10,000 of my country's warriors. Each time I die, it is borne by my warriors. Just now, I consumed one warrior. Now, I'll detonate 100 and kill you all. No wonder he had always used suicide attacks. Since that's the case, please take the princess and escape. However, Chen Xian remained calm and collected. Ask the queen next to him, where is their country? After learning that it was in the northwest region, he unexpectedly claimed he could solve it in 10 seconds. Do you think you can solve me in 10 seconds? What a joke! Now gather 100 people's lifespan power, and I can almost blow you up in 10 seconds. All of you, come at me. But suddenly, he had an angry look and sensed that something was wrong. It seemed that something had appeared in the kingdom's sky. His divine sense quickly returned, and he was shocked by the sight in front of him. What is this? Suddenly, his face became ferocious, and a huge rule force hand appeared above his country's sky. With a loud bang, the entire country was destroyed by a single palm, and tens of thousands of warriors disappeared. His divine sense quickly returned to his body, but it was too late. With a loud bang, everyone looked up at the sky in amazement. Chen Xian even raised a protective shield to prevent debris from falling. It's done. This country has disappeared from the map. The citizens of Great Wu trembled in fear, amazed that someone could destroy a country with such ease. Is it really His Majesty Shantian? Only now did the queen realize what had happened and was grateful that she had not acted recklessly. So, Your Majesty, give me the next command. Well, then please cure Wan Qing quickly. Yes, Your Majesty. The system had long been raging. I give up. How do you always find a way to glitch the system? But Chen Xian just smiled and said, System, I didn't do anything directly. I just followed His Majesty's orders. Chen Xian poured out a lake of jade spring divine brew and let Wan Qing, who had turned into a dragon, rest and heal in it. The queen reminded from the side, Great power, although you have the Yuchuan divine brew, which is rich enough to rival a country, it's useless. The poison dragon resentment in the little princess is from the Great Zhou dynasty. It was created by the medical god for the foolish ruler 100,000 years ago. Once poisoned, as long as the power of the dragon vein is used, it will accelerate the consumption of life. Apart from the medical god's divine silk holy heart needle, there is no other way. But the only holy heart needle was taken away by the medical god to another continent long ago. The queen cried out in despair, but the next second she looked at Qinxian in shock. Qinxian was surrounded by 9 divine needles. How did you know there is only one divine silk holy heart needle? Patriarch, you have the divine silk holy heart needle, and you have 9 of them. Qinxian then explained, the medical god you mentioned was my disciple 100,000 years ago, and he was the worst student I ever taught. Originally, there were 10 divine needles, but he was too incompetent and only learned 1, and he actually harmed his own people. Next time I see him, I will kick him. Everyone was shocked. The medical god was also a disciple of the great power, and in the eyes of Patriarch, he was just a bad student. Qinxian manipulated the divine needles and came to Wan Qing. Don't be afraid, Wan Qing. I am your Patriarch from 100,000 years ago, and now I will remove the poison dragon resentment for you. On the other side of the spiritual clan's tomb, Zhu Wuyan and the others were fighting fiercely. Is it really necessary to keep fighting just for a leg? Which traitor's disciples are you? It must be the Taiwan Sect. Scrounging and penny pinching, so disgusting. I wonder if Qinxian will be angry when he hears this, but Chen Daorang couldn't bear it anymore. How dare you insult my Patriarch? Your master is the penny pinching scrounger. That's right, your entire sect are all penny pinching scroungers. Idiots. The #1 sect in the world looked on in confusion. Their eyes couldn't keep up with their movements. They could only cry out, stop it. Don't fight anymore. If you keep fighting, the spiritual tomb won't open, and we will all be wiped out. Suddenly a voice came from the spiritual tomb. Silence. No more insolence. I am the guardian of the spiritual clan's tomb, responsible for supervising every test. I hereby announce that anyone who can reach the depths of the tomb will receive supreme fortune and inheritance. The top of the vine is the entrance to the tomb. Please enter at your own discretion. I declare that the spiritual clan's tomb is officially open. The 4 were interrupted and a little confused, but the people below were overjoyed. Ha ha ha, the spiritual tomb is finally open. We have survived. The man rapidly mobilizes his cultivation and rushes towards the entrance, but suddenly meets a tragic death on the spot. After the spiritual tomb is opened, Han Mayudru, in order to redeem his past disgrace, steps forward with the dragon-slaying sword, burning his entire cultivation, vowing to become the first to enter the tomb. Hey, young man, you're a bit crazy today. Chen Daorang, hurry up, he's about to surpass you. Little did they know that Han Mayudru would be killed the next second. Chen Daorang and Luo Qinchen stare blankly, as the old man of the spiritual tomb stands proudly. Have you all forgotten the rules of my spiritual clan? Dare to use spiritual energy in front of my Ling clan. Han Mayudru, you fool, didn't I tell you before you came? Pity our world's #1 warrior. Just as we set off, it's already over. The onlookers are confused. How can we go up without using spiritual energy? And this vine seems to be alive. So, the only way to pass this trial is to rely purely on physical strength to climb up. Although the vine secretes toxins, the older you are, the stronger your resistance to the poison. That's why we brought only the old folks this time. Young people, just watch the performance of our older generation. Han Mayudru, I will carry your will and help you stay ahead of them. Suddenly, there's a loud crash. What just passed by? Damn. Why did he fly? And why did he have that idiotic expression? Are you all idiots? If you can fly, why climb? Young people have no sense of martial ethics. But why isn't the vine attacking him? Is the vine asleep or something? But then they were stunned when they turned their heads. Countless vines relentlessly attack the fat guy. Not only is he unharmed, but he's even snoring. This guy is actually enduring the attacks and climbing up. Sleeping Buddha is truly amazing, but this infuriates them. Who combines sleeping and passing the trial at the same time? Can things get any more absurd? Zhu Wuyan is using the power of the war god. The fat guy relies on absolute defense, but Chen Daorang and Luo Qinchen don't have those abilities. They can only watch them take the lead. Suddenly, a dazzling light blinds Chen Daorang. Senior sister, why is your chest glowing? Luo Qinchen fumbles around, taking out a scroll from her chest. It's the map given by the Haoyuat kingdom back then. Chen Daorang, who witnessed the whole process, can only silently give a thumbs up. Senior sister, you truly don't treat me as an outsider. Just as they were amazed, the vine drops with a swish. The old man of the spiritual tomb puts on a pleasing expression. Guests, please come in. This makes them extremely happy. Guest chairs. Yes, with the falling star map, you can bypass the first trial and directly become the first candidate to enter. The middle-aged man, who is struggling to climb, sheds tears of humiliation. There's even VIP treatment for the trial. This is so unfair. Doesn't this make them pure victims of injustice? Luo Qinchen and Chen Daorang, amidst the envious gazes of the crowd, slowly sit on the chairs. VIP treatment is amazing. Senior sister, your courtesy was truly worth it. I told you the falling star map would be useful. Chen Daorang has already imagined himself winning, but soon he starts crying. The old man of the spiritual tomb teleports behind him with a swish, and smacks him directly, sending him flying. Damn, what are you doing, old man? I'm a VIP, you know. Instead, he takes Luo Qingchen and flies straight towards the entrance. There can only be one VIP. The falling star map can only allow one person inside. Damn it, only one person? Why didn't you say so earlier? This scene happens to be witnessed by the unlucky middle-aged man. The two who have been constantly abused finally see something happy. You're also experiencing this now. Finally, someone is having a worse time than me. Weren't you arrogant just now? Now you can't do anything, right? Given the situation, Chen Daorang can only climb along with them, but as soon as he touches the vine, it hurts terribly. It turns out the vine is poisonous, and the younger you are, the more toxic it is. At this moment, the voice of the old man of the spiritual tomb resounds. The opening time of the teleportation gate has only 100 breaths left. Chen Daorang is already in despair. Now he's going to embarrass the Patriarch. What can be done to catch up with them in such a short time? Suddenly, a fluctuation emanates from the ground, and an extremely dense spiritual energy surges out. The enraged old man of the spiritual tomb, who was monitoring, is burning with anger. I just explained the rules, and you dare release such a dense spiritual energy. This is the greatest disrespect to the spiritual clan. Without waiting for him to take action, countless vines are surging towards Chen Daorang. This is actually the move the unlucky middle-aged man specifically prepared for his opponents, daring to kill Hama Yujiro. Now it's your turn. Chen Daorang's heart is already collapsing. Is he going to meet his end here? Suddenly, a hair floats out, and from it emanates a voice that seems like divine might. You insolent fool, how dare you attack my junior with this worthless grass? In the next moment, this lightly floating hair bursts with unparalleled power, like an unparalleled strike, directly cutting the vine in half at the waist, its might sweeping across the entire scene. Shocking everyone present, Chen Daorang is already stunned, and the vine collapses with a thunderous sound. After all the effort to climb for so long, it falls like this. The unlucky middle-aged man can't help but feel miserable and want to cry. The energy of the entire spiritual tomb couldn't counter it, and the old man of the spiritual tomb can only stand there helplessly. To possess such power, could it be that man? Chen Daorang looks at the hair in his hand, as if the whole world is in his hands. Who could have imagined that a single hair from the Patriarch could be so amazing? What are others? Just sword cultivators, blade cultivators. From today onwards, I am a hair cultivator. This guy actually sticks the hair directly onto his face, and the effect is explosive. From now on, there will be another legend in the martial world. The handsome boy who travels the world with his hair. The Patriarch has indeed treated me well, but this disgusts the others greatly. Why should he get special treatment? Even a single strand of hair will do, and he stuck it on in such a disgusting way. But if he cuts the vines, doesn't that mean we can fly? Hurry up, brothers. Joy comes from the heavens at this final moment. Now we can all enter. Only the old man of the spiritual tomb calmly contemplates on the side. It can't be possible. This time, it seems like he saw a familiar power. Can the spiritual clan still find the right person like this? After resolving the crisis of Great Wu, he helped the Princess Wang Qin cure the poisonous dragon's resentment, but he suddenly discovered that there is another unprecedented power within the princess's body that cannot be eradicated. The king, who was just happy upon hearing this news, can't help but worry once again. Chen Xian explains, this power is not only extremely troublesome, but also constantly threatens Wang Qin's life. Besides Great Zhou, who could spread this poison in the Hongmeng continent? I'm afraid no one else has this capability. Tell me where Great Zhou is. The Patriarch doesn't hesitate, immediately flashing into the territory of Great Zhou, starting with a mighty palm of the power of laws. I am the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, the one who poisoned my descendant, Wang Qin. Quickly come out and apologize. Otherwise, I will annihilate Great Zhou. Suddenly, thunder cracks in the clear sky. The sound of thunder reverberates incessantly, but a voice comes through. Although the voice is not loud, it strikes directly at the soul. Supreme Heavenly Emperor, even if you kill me, you won't be able to cure your descendant. Once this poison is planted, even I am powerless. Chen Xian instantly becomes furious. Then you shall be buried together with Great Zhou. Manipulating the power of laws, covering the entire nation of Great Zhou, directly cover downwards. Suddenly, a purple light shoots out from the ground, actually shattering Chen Xian's power of laws into pieces. Chen Xian has never encountered such a situation before. Still in a daze, he hears that voice again. Supreme Heavenly Emperor, it seems you haven't understood the situation. Now the person to worry about being killed isn't me, but you, Chen Xian. At this moment, Chen Xian feels as if he is in an endless hell. The system also turns red directly. Warning, warning, host, this creature has the power to kill you. Don't act rashly. Simultaneously triggers a high difficulty mission. Trial 6 urgently opens. Success will allow you to proceed to the next continent. Failure will result in catastrophic damage to the host and the Hongmeng continent. Chen Xian breaks out in a cold sweat from shock. This thing can kill me. If I fail, will the creatures on the continent die? But the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, invincible for 10,000 years. How could he be frightened by this unknown person? He directly questions. Who are you? Why would you harm a child? Do you still want to destroy this continent? Chen Xian's reaction also surprises him. In the absence of any information, he can actually guess his plan. But who I am doesn't matter. What matters is that a new era of 10,000 years is about to begin. Natural disasters will come, and then I will break through the seal, and give you all a great gift. Everyone will see my true form, and fear my mighty name. Supreme Heavenly Emperor, I have a premonition. Perhaps you will be the only one who can hinder my plan. Or perhaps you will become the scapegoat for the entire continent. Unfortunately, I cannot kill you now, but I will launch an attack on the entire continent next. Can you stop me? Chen Xian, who was pondering, happens to see a system prompt. These are creatures that have existed since the birth of this continent. Host, do not take it lightly, but this only confuses Chen Xian even more. He has been in the Hongmeng continent for 200,000 years, yet there are creatures older than him. However, he quickly becomes relieved. The system has already recovered. Who else does he have to fear? But do I have to wait until the new era? Good. I will slaughter you then. Very well. I look forward to battling you. Supreme Heavenly Emperor, although this chapter has come to an end, the antidote has not been found yet. We can only return to Great Wu for now. This girl is only 4 years old, yet she has to bear the heavy responsibility of protecting the country. Watching children of the same age grow up under their father's doting, she can only confide in little Qing in her arms. Even though she is covered in injuries from daily training, she cannot rest. All she receives is reprimands, all because she was born into the imperial family, the last remaining imperial bloodline. She must learn the power of the dragon vein to protect the endangered country. But even so, it is not enough. Her only playmate, little Qing, has been taken away as well. What awaits her is only stricter training, and the constant cost of bearing the power of the dragon vein. Her body is gradually breaking down, and little Qing can only silently bless her. 3 years later, little Qing dies due to excessive worry for Wang Qin, and 6-year-old Wang Qin, having exhausted the power of the dragon vein, and already infected with Great Zhou's poisonous dragon grudge, has very little remaining lifespan. She stares blankly at the deceased little Qing. Prime Minister, before Wang Qin's death, she wanted to bury little Qing, but all she received was rejection. Great Zhou has already sent people to attack the royal palace. The people of Great Wu are all hoping for your salvation, even if it means death. You must save Great Wu. Don't think that you can stop fighting for Great Wu just because you're going to die. You exist for Great Wu. You must. Before the sentence is finished, the Prime Minister is instantly killed by an explosion, once again, leaving Wang Qin alone. Looking at the Prime Minister's corpse, only endless grief remains. With a snap, she is suddenly grabbed by a hand. What are you still concerned about? I told you that you should care about the survival of the country, instead of being indecisive like a child. No matter how scared you are, no matter how much you long for freedom, it's not allowed. Because you are the king of this country, you must bear everything, including sacrificing your life. But who cares that she is only 6 years old? Suddenly, an attack strikes, directly shattering him. A voice comes. Isn't what Wang Qin has done for the country enough? The person who arrives is none other than Patriarch Chen Xian. He extends his right hand, gently caressing Wang Qin's cheek. I'm sorry, Patriarch is late. Don't worry, Patriarch is here now. From now on, Wang Qin doesn't need to fight anymore. These years must have been very frightening for you. You've worked hard. At this moment, Wang Qin stares blankly at the person in front of her. Her lips tremble slightly, as if all the grievances have been cared for. Instantly, her face turns red from crying, and she rushes into Patriarch's embrace, crying loudly. After crying, Patriarch carries her to bed, and she falls into a peaceful sleep. Wang Qin seems to be dreaming. Chen Xian looks out the window, carefully recalling the entire situation. If he wants to cure Wang Qin's poison, he'll have to see if the younger generation can conquer the Spirit Clan's tomb. I wonder how those little guys are doing now. At this moment, inside the Spirit Clan's tomb, Luo Qinchen stands alone here. Chen Daorang, are you here? After the fat guy withstood the attack and pushed through. Ha ha, I'm the first to arrive. Zhu Wuyan follows closely behind him and also arrives. I'm the second, but after they stabilize, they all look dumbfounded, silently looking at Luo Qinchen in front of them. How did you, a woman, arrive before us? Luo Qinchen looks disdainful. Who are you talking about? Chen Daorang has also passed the first test. The old man of the spirit tomb stands proudly. Congratulations to all for passing the tomb's test. The next step is the second trial. Those who pass will become the inheritors. To pass the trial, you must complete a feat, crossing the door to the center of the earth. 2 people per team. No restrictions on using spiritual power, but there are only 2 spots for winners. As long as one person in the team reaches the finish line, the whole team is considered to have passed. Once 2 teams pass, everyone else will die in the tomb. Friendly reminder, flying in the trial will severely deplete spiritual power. Now, the second trial begins. With a loud rumbling sound, the door opens in response. Countless people rush in to seize the opportunity. Facing such a cruel rule, everyone can only choose to fight desperately. Our sect, the greatest in the world, will conquer all. A ferocious monster approaches, its crimson tongue swaying in the wind. This also ignites their fighting spirit. We will carry Hanmayudra with us. Even though you're dead, we will live on with your will. Countless flashes of blades and swords pass in an instant, accompanied by the monster's wailing. Successfully slay the first monster. This is the strength of my sect, the greatest in the world. Unlike some people, all bark and no bite. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind blows. It turns out to be Zhu Wuyan and Chen Daorang, along with 2 others. How boring! Is this level just about killing monsters? Isn't there something stronger? Zhu Wuyan and Qin Peng's team kill 99 plus beasts. Chen Daorang and Luo Qinchen's team kill 99 plus beasts. Who is the real monster here? Why do they make it look so easy? In the midst of their shock, a hissing sound is heard. They turn around and see a giant spider looking shyly at them. Chen Daorang and Zhu Wuyan charge forward fearlessly. Little spider, here I come. One wields a hoe, the other grabs a tree branch, madly unleashing attacks on the spider. But they inadvertently expose a vulnerability, and the small spider spits out a glob of phlegm, directly hitting both of them. They are sent sprawling and sliding along the ground for 200 meters. Luo Qinchen and the chubby guy show worried expressions. They quickly rush to the rescue. Be careful, the phlegm is highly toxic. We can't move. However, the small spider doesn't want to give them any chance, continuously spewing countless spiderwebs. The chubby guy extends his arms. Little buddy, don't be afraid. I'll help you. The giant Dharma image directly blocks in front of Zhu Wuyan, and Luo Qinchen immediately transforms, using the Great Sun Divine Flame to burn through the spider silk. But the spider silk keeps coming. She soon falls into a disadvantage, and can only hold Chen Daorang and evade first. Who knew the monster would change its form, occupying a favorable position and directly blocking the path, trapping everyone in front of the checkpoint. This monster is very powerful. Could it be planning to kill us all? The greatest sect in the world secretly lurks on the side. You guys can fight it out here. It turns out he also has a piece of the Starfall map. He intentionally took the lead in killing monsters earlier, just to give the wrong hint that killing monsters is necessary to pass the checkpoint. The map in his hands indicates that this monster cannot be killed, because it's actually a mirror formation. No matter how strong you are, what you hit is actually yourself. To pass, you have to sacrifice a team member. But who knew his team member, upon hearing this, not only did not regret, but was the first to charge forward. If I don't go to hell, who will? Sacrificing a kidney for the sect leader. Open sesame. After the sacrifice, indeed, a passage opened up, and the sect leader swiftly entered. It is said that the spiritual clan does this to test the spirit of sacrifice. But if they let them pass the test first, then the remaining people will all die. Chen Daorang and Zhu Wuyan helplessly watch this scene. They can't understand how they managed to get past this monster. At this moment, the chubby guy explained, I saw it. They sacrificed a team member. This seems to be the secret to getting through the spiderweb. Luo Qinchen listened to this news in shock. So that's why it has to be 2 people in a team? Now the voice of the spiritual tomb elder resounded. There are only 100 breaths of time left. 2 teams are approaching the finish line. Once the time is up, the teams that haven't passed will all die. There's not much time left for Chen Daorang and the others. In this tense moment, couples who were just affectionate moments ago immediately turn against each other. Master and disciple fighting each other is even common. Morality has completely fallen. Even biological father and son, for the sole chance of survival, they turn their weapons against each other. Just then, the chubby guy grabs Zhu Wuyan. Little brother, instead of both of us dying here, it's better to. Hey, what are you trying to do, chubby guy? But the chubby guy was unusually calm at this moment. Every time I wake up after sleeping for so long, I always feel a sense of loneliness and abandonment. But this time, when I met you, I felt like I met a family member. How about I let you go ahead? Zhu Wuyan looked at the chubby guy in astonishment. Luo Qinchen helped Chen Daorang up at this moment. Indeed, there's not much time left, Chen Daorang. As your senior sister, I should take responsibility for taking care of my junior brother. When you obtain the inheritance, remember to take care of Forget Immortal Sect for me. It turns out that after hearing the method to pass, both Chubby Guy and Luo Qingchen had already made their own choices. Zhu Wuyan and Chen Daorang, dragging their injured bodies, shouted behind them, "Senior sister, stop, let me handle this. Chubby Guy, come back." But the two had already arrived at the front of the formation. Chen Daorang's mind was shaken, and he couldn't stop them anymore. At this critical moment, the only one left to seek help from was the Patriarch. He took out a strand of the Patriarch's hair alone and silently prayed in his heart, "Patriarch, please, save us. Otherwise, Senior Sister will die." Who knew that they would actually receive a response from the Patriarch? Chen Daorang, use your brain and think carefully. There must be a solution. You can't rely on the Patriarch to solve everything. This time, the Patriarch won't help you. Remember, you are a descendant of the Chen family. But at this moment, Chen Daorang couldn't absorb anything the Patriarch said. "Patriarch, what can I do now? When you gave Senior Sister the grilled skewer to enhance her cultivation, if you had shared some with me, maybe I could save Senior Sister now." Wait, Chen Daorang suddenly had a bright idea. The skewer and the solution. So that's it. I have a way. Without hesitation, Chen Daorang immediately shouted, "Senior Sister, Big Guy, stop. I have a way that doesn't require sacrifice. As long as you, Big Guy, are willing to cooperate, our two teams will definitely pass the level. I swear in the name of my Patriarch." The Chubby Guy questioned, "Kid, why should I trust you? You're the one who's been chasing after me, seeking revenge." Luo Qingchen also quickly asked, "Chen Daorang, have you really thought of a solution?" At this moment, Zhu Wuyan suddenly spoke up and said, "Give it a try, Chubby Guy." He swore on his Patriarch's name. I don't think he would joke about his Patriarch, but in the next moment, he suddenly got angry and said, "And what's with you deciding to die for me? What kind of cool move is that? We can just die together and be reborn as brothers in the next life." The Chubby Guy calmed down at this point. "All right, quickly, tell us how to cooperate." Zhu Wuyan helped Chen Daorang up. "Thank you, just listen to my instructions. First, let the Big Guy put on his defense gear for me, and Senior Sister, use the Great Sun Divine Flame to ignite the Big Guy. Then I'll enlarge the stick's momentum, and the stick will carry me and the Big Guy towards the spider web. When we reach the spider web, the divine flame on the Big Guy's body should be able to temporarily burn through the web. Then, before the hole is sealed by the monster, Zhu Wuyan will tightly hold onto the other end of the stick. Once Zhu Wuyan passes through the spider web, I will enlarge the stick again and sling Zhu Wuyan beyond the finish line. But I'm heavily injured right now, so I can only sling you a certain distance before the finish line. Therefore, after you land, you must summon the battle garb of the war god and firmly hold onto your end of the stick. Wait for me to shrink on this end, and because you're holding onto your end, I can be carried over, and because only one person from a team needs to reach the finish line, we won't have to sacrifice anyone in the end. But before this, they were still enemies. Yet Chen Daorang unconditionally believed that Zhu Wuyan would pull him over. Chen Daorang explained it like this: "After fighting for a while just now, I had this inexplicable trust in you. If we can really make it out alive, I still want to recognize you as my junior." There are 20 seconds left until the trial ends. Zhu Wuyan exerts all her strength to stabilize the stick with the War God Battle Garb. "I almost consider you my little brother. Come at me." With a swoosh, Chen Daorang is directly carried over by the stick. At this moment, there are only 10 seconds left. The head of the top sect is also close to reaching the finish line. His spiritual energy is almost depleted, but who could have expected that at the last moment they would actually catch up, only to see Chen Daorang and Zhu Wuyan, both with their battle garb fully activated. Their momentum is astonishing and unstoppable. In this plan, the stick and us are like skewered kebabs. We can only succeed if we unite and fight together like grilled meat on a skewer. Only then can we pass the fiery test and overcome the difficulties. The sect leader has already exhausted all his spiritual power, but for the finish line, they dare not slack off in the slightest. No spiritual power? Then we'll run for it. However, Chen Daorang and the others are full of determination. Even if they are injured and coughing up blood, they burn their spiritual energy and continue moving forward. We can only trust each other. Only then can we possibly reach the finish line. In the remaining time, I didn't expect them to win in the last second. The sect leader and the others can hardly believe their eyes. How did they pull off such a move? At this moment, the voice of the Spirit Tomb Old Man resounds. Time's up. The participants who cleared Trial 2 have been determined. The trial is over. Now, I will transport the participants to the finish line. Chen Daorang, well done. The fat guy also embraces Zhu Wuyan tightly. You really did it. You guys are so cool. Since Trial 2 is complete, the rest of you shall become nourishment for the tomb. The others die on the spot, in a pitiful manner. Only Chen Daorang and Zhu Wuyan remain, determined to obtain the final inheritance. They have already made up their minds to eliminate all obstacles. No matter the enemy, they will deal with them together. The Spirit Tomb Old Man smiles at them and says, "You don't need to fight anymore. Regarding the inheritance you desire, our Spirit Clan's 7 Saints Society will give it to you directly." In the next moment, countless energies converge towards the 4 of them, instantly healing their injuries and continuously breaking through their strength. Chen Xian also receives a system prompt. Congratulations to the hosts Junior for obtaining the Spirit Clan's inheritance. Trial 4 is complete, rewarding the host's cultivation. Chen Xian directly breaks through to the Emperor Realm 8 level and receives 1 chance to draw a prize. However, Chen Xian is deeply concerned. Have these little guys completed the mission so quickly? Why does it feel a bit fast? Over at the tomb, the 4 of them continue to receive the power of inheritance. Guardian of the tomb, we have obtained the inheritance. Please let us out. But the Spirit Clan's 7 saints suddenly intensify the transmission. A stronger force comes towards them. This violent power is overwhelming their bodies. Even the fat guy's Arhat battle garb cannot withstand this power. They actually want to kill us through energy transmission, but the difference in strength is too great. Luo Qinshan can no longer hold on and falls down. The Spirit Tomb Old Man wears a sinister expression. This group of people is quite good. They are about to become. At this moment, a voice comes from the sky. "Hey, Spirit Clan old dog, have you forgotten the first survival rule from 100,000 years ago?" "Huh, who's speaking? The first rule? There was such a thing 100,000 years ago. What was it called again?" One of the 7 saints answers. "I remember it goes like this. You can provoke Chen Xian, but you can't provoke Chen Xian's descendants." "Yes, that's it. The meaning is, if you provoke Chen Xian might be afraid of you and let it slide. But if you provoke his descendants, then Chen Xian will transform into the invincible Supreme Heavenly Emperor. No matter who you are, he'll make you meet your ancestors." After saying that, they burst into laughter. Ha ha. It brings back memories from 100,000 years ago. But this rule is targeted at the people of the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. Could it be them? In the next second, a hair floats out from Chen Daorang's body, and Chen Xian appears directly. I already revealed my identity outside, yet you still didn't realize who they are." The 7 saints are dumbfounded. Supreme Heavenly Emperor? At this moment, the Spirit Tomb Old Man finally remembers. The power from outside the field earlier was from the Supreme Heavenly Emperor, so they are descendants of the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. The 7 saints immediately apologize in unison. "Sorry, Supreme Heavenly Emperor, I know you're protecting your own, but you don't know what we're doing. Please don't stop us." Chen Xian, on the other hand, looks indifferent. "I'm not here to save them. I'm here to settle the score for the hot pot seasoning that chased me for 3 days and 3 nights 100,000 years ago." The aura of the Heavenly Emperor is released. The 7 individuals are immediately suppressed and forced to kneel. "Do you still remember the grudge from 100,000 years ago? I can see that you're clearly looking for an excuse to protect them." The 4 people beside them look at Chen Xian excitedly. "Patriarch, Master, you're not dead." After saying that, they look at each other in astonishment. "Master, you call him Patriarch?" Little did they know, they start arguing the next second. "What the heck? Why are you two calling my Patriarch?" "Nonsense. This is my master. Why would you call him Patriarch? He's clearly my Patriarch. Who gave you the right to call him that?" Luo Qinshan can't hold back at this point. "Nonsense. He's clearly the Patriarch for both me and Chen Daorang." Seeing the awkwardness of the juniors, "Patriarch forgot to introduce you. Actually, you're all one family. Qin Peng is your long-lost senior martial brother." The 4 people who were arguing look at him in surprise. "Ha ha, I knew these little fellows were so familiar." Luo Qinshan looks apologetic. "I'm sorry, Senior Qin Peng. I'm the senior sister of the newest generation. I was disrespectful to you earlier." "Ha ha, it's alright. Now I'm also an elder." Zhu Wuyan is speechless. Chen Daorang suddenly became his second martial brother. He can't accept it. The Spirit Clan Old Man suddenly points at Chen Xian. "Supreme Heavenly Emperor, let me tell you again. You have no idea what you're stopping. I advise you to stop." This reminds Chen Xian. "According to the rule, I should send you to meet your ancestors." The hand of rules strikes down. The 7 saints of the Spirit Clan are about to meet their demise, but the Spirit Clan Old Man suddenly shouts, "Chen Xian, stop it. We can't die yet." Suddenly, an attack comes from underground, directly shattering Chen Xian's attack. "Supreme Heavenly Emperor, please stop." Chen Xian looks curiously at this scene. "Why would you, with insufficient power, intervene for us?" Chen Xian carefully perceives, realizing that this power is actually the same as the one in the Great Zhou's underground lake. He instantly becomes furious, with killing intent soaring. "It's you again. You've harmed one of my disciples. Isn't that enough?" Now you want to harm my other disciples too? The mastermind finally reveals themselves. No, Supreme Heavenly Emperor, what you saw in the Great Zhou back then wasn't me, but he is me. At this moment, Qin Xian receives a system prompt. This creature and the creature in the Great Zhou are not the same. This creature doesn't possess the ability to kill you. He continues to speak. Supreme Heavenly Emperor, I understand that you're confused now. Please allow me to explain the whole situation. Qin Xian also wants to know the origin of all this. After all, the system said that only here can the Wang Qin toxin be resolved. Originally, millions of years ago, he was born in this continent. He is the spiritual vein of this continent, devoted to blessing the living beings in the region. At that time, the Hongmeng continent was full of vitality, but since the human clan discovered the power of the spiritual vein, they started using it to launch wars. The war lasted for millions of years without cease. As the spiritual vein itself, he witnessed too much slaughter, which affected his state of mind. Eventually, a malicious thought emerged in him, and he wanted to kill all living beings in the continent to prevent the disaster from happening. When he was still clear-headed, the spiritual vein called upon his messengers, which are the entire spirit clan. At that time, most of his power was bestowed upon the spirit clan, but because the power was too overwhelming, the spirit clan almost perished as a result. Fortunately, after the 7 saints of the spirit clan received the power, they became the spiritual bodies capable of sealing the spiritual vein. Finally, they engaged in a fierce battle against the evil spiritual vein, successfully sealing its life source and extracting the malice from the spiritual vein. Due to the loss of its life source, both the spiritual vein and the malice turned into stone statues, falling respectively into the earth's core and the Great Zhou. They can no longer take any action. The crisis on the continent was successfully resolved. Little did they know, recently, he clearly sensed that the malice had found a way to break the petrification seal. It is waiting for the new era to begin. At that time, it will surely break the seal and come out to destroy the continent. Now, the 7 saints of the spirit clan are on the verge of extinction, so he must find new candidates to reseal the malice. But the Supreme Heavenly Emperor interrupted the only opportunity for inheritance. Qin Xian, now you realize the enormous mistake you've made. You've destroyed the only opportunity for inheritance. It's equivalent to destroying this continent. Qin Xian falls into contemplation. No wonder I couldn't defeat the malice. Turns out it was the power of the spiritual vein, an irresistible force for cultivators. But he laughs heartily. It seems I've really caused a great disaster. Is there any way to resolve this? I'm willing to make amends. The spiritual vein answers once again. The only current method is to first destroy the life source that seals the malice. This way, both it and the malice will perish. However, considering your temperament, Supreme Heavenly Emperor, it's likely difficult for you to agree. Qin Xian expresses surprise. You're voluntarily destroying the life source. Why would I disagree? Because I can sense that the malice has placed the life source inside Wang Qin's body. Upon hearing this, Qin Xian's mindset instantly explodes. So, by destroying the life source, Wang Qin will undoubtedly die. Damn it. So, the poison within Wang Qin's body is actually the sealed life source? Supreme Heavenly Emperor, although you are fiercely protective, this is the only way to save the Hongmeng continent. Now, if Wang Qin lives, the creatures on the continent die. If Wang Qin dies, the creatures on the continent live. Now, my power is almost non-existent. Even if you stop us to kill Wang Qin, we are powerless. So, the survival of the continent depends on whether you agree to hand over Wang Qin. Damn it. Is it another trolley problem? It turns out he recalls the time before his transmigration, when he was on the brink of death. The system asked him a question. If you were the train conductor, and your train had a malfunction and couldn't stop, on one side of the tracks, there was one dying person, and on the other side, there were 5 healthy people. If the train collided, it would undoubtedly cause death. Which track would you divert the train to? Qin Xian holds his head in agony. Can I have some time to think? Alright, there are still 3 days until the new era arrives. Within 3 days, if you're willing to hand over Wang Qin, crush this token, and we will immediately initiate the destruction ritual. There's still time for everything. Qin Xian can only agree. Let's go. Patriarch will take you back. As soon as they arrived in the Great Wu dynasty, Qin Daorang threw away his favorite stick. Is this our little junior sister? So adorable. Qin Xian asks. Has Wang Qin woken up? Princess just woke up. Who are they? But the others couldn't hold back any longer. Didn't expect to have such a cute little junior sister. Let me hug her. Let senior brother hug her. Taking advantage of the situation, Qin Xian asks the system, is there any other way to deal with the poison on Wang Qin's body? Your disciple has completed trial 4. The host still has one unused chance for a lucky draw. If the host can draw a strengthening grand prize, perhaps there's a way to solve it. Qin Xian has a sudden realization. Yeah, if I could draw an attack enhancement that can eradicate the evil thoughts, then Wang Qin doesn't have to die. Immediately, he starts the lucky draw. The roulette spins frantically. SSR attack enhancement. Snap your fingers to kill enemies. Chen Xian excitedly watches the roulette. That's great. With this enhancement, I will definitely be able to. But to his surprise, what appears before his eyes is a consolation prize. Defense enhancement. Within your domain, you cannot be harmed. Chen Xian is struck by lightning and immediately coughs up 3 liters of blood. What kind of consolation prize is this? At least an overlord can open up a domain. What use is it for me in the Emperor realm? Does it mean I can only rely on that power to deal with the evil thoughts? But if I can't use it properly, everyone will die. At that moment, the voice of the system rings out again. Congratulations, host, for discovering a clue. Trial 5 initiated. Objective: save the Great Wu disciples. Reward: one-time battle domain. Luo Qinchen and the other 4 burst into tears. Why is our little junior sister's life so bitter? It's okay. Patriarch will definitely find a solution. Wang Qin is a bit confused. Why is everyone crying? Chen Xian says to the queen, Your Majesty, can you help me gather all the leaders of the forces on the continent within 3 days? The queen affirms, Yes, I can. Patriarch, what are you planning to do? You must have thought of a way to detoxify Wang Qin. Patriarch would never give up on any of his disciples. But suddenly, Chen Xian crushes the jade token. The people who were just happy are instantly stunned. Chen Xian looks at Wang Qin and says to her, Wang Qin, from now on, let senior brother and senior sister take you to have fun, okay? Wang Qin happily asks, Can I take a break, senior brother? Yes, enjoy yourself, but only for 3 days. Thank you, Patriarch. Chen Daorang and the others mourn in their hearts. Does Patriarch really have no solution this time? Over the next 3 days, the 7 saints of the Spirit Clan arrive at Great Wu and construct the altar for the destruction ritual. At the same time, leaders of the forces from all over the continent also gather here. Meanwhile, Wang Qin spends these 3 days playing with Luo Qinchen and the others. Wang Qin tries a sugar figurine for the first time. So sweet. 3 days later, on the day of the ritual, the queen says to Chen Xian, Great One, all the leaders of the continent have arrived now, and they all know about the sacrifice of Princess Wang Qin. Luo Qinchen and the others have also returned with Wang Qin. Wang Qin holds a sugar figurine and looks happily at Chen Xian. Patriarch, here, have some sugar figurine, it's tasty. Chen Xian gently strokes Wang Qin's hair. Wang Qin, Patriarch will eat the sugar figurine later, okay? Do you want to go to that place first? Those are imperial physicians. If you go there, your illness will be cured. Is that okay? Wang Qin walks happily towards the 7 saints. Old man of the Spirit Clan, let out a bark. Wang Qin takes her place. The destruction ritual can begin. Everyone present kneels down one after another to bid farewell to Princess Wang Qin of Great Wu. Wang Qin stands there, unsure of what to do. Luo Qinchen and the others can no longer restrain themselves and shout, No, Wang Qin, come back quickly. Those are not imperial physicians. You've been deceived. You will die if you go there. We'll save you. Luo Qinchen and the others can no longer suppress their emotions and rush forward to save Wang Qin. But they are surrounded by everyone, layer upon layer. Standing on the moral high ground, they shamelessly declare, We know you care about junior sister, but she is indeed the chosen sacrifice. If it were us who were chosen, we would also sacrifice our lives without hesitation. Luo Qinchen looks at Patriarch helplessly. Do we really have to sacrifice Wang Qin? Can't we fight against the evil thoughts together? Chen Xian's response puts them in a dilemma, because cultivators cannot resist the dragon vein power of the evil thoughts, and the ritual must continue. 7-year-old Wang Qin endures the pain she shouldn't have to bear. Her senior brothers and sisters below can't bear to look. Wang Qin looks at them and speaks, Senior brothers and sisters, I'm fine. Actually, I already guessed that I would die today. But Wang Qin was born for the world, and being so understanding, how can one not feel heartache? But the ritual continues. The old man of the Spirit Clan shouts, Seal detachment, unseal, prepare to release the source of life. As the source of life is detached, Wang Qin suffers even more, but she has no complaints, and she continues to comfort everyone. Although Wang Qin is in pain every day, she is not afraid of death, because she has seen Patriarch and her senior brothers and sisters these days, and she has had her first rest, her first taste of sweet sugar figurine, and her first companionship. With the casting of the Spirit Clan's 7 saints, spiritual thunder descends, and the seal on the source of life is lifted. Prepare to destroy Wang Qin and the source of life. Countless flashes of lightning and thunderous sounds fill the air, but in the final moment of her life, Wang Qin holds no resentment towards anyone. She calmly embraces death because she fulfilled many wishes before dying. The thunder of destruction strikes, and tears stream down Wang Qin's face, but all she wants is to say goodbye to everyone once more. Luo Qinchen and the others are filled with grief and despair, shouting Wang Qin's name loudly. On the other hand, the leaders suddenly burst into laughter. Wang Qin's death is a crisis averted for them. This ugly face reveals the true nature of humanity, but in the next moment, a voice comes from the formation. Who said the crisis was averted? In the midst of their astonished expressions, Chen Xian holds Wang Qin in one hand and slowly walks out with the source of life in the other hand. Thank you for helping to release the seal on Wang Qin. Now I have saved the source of life. At the final moment, it was Patriarch who took action, but the 7 saints of the Spirit Clan cannot sit still. They condemn Chen Xian one after another. Chen Xian, have you gone mad? Quickly destroy Wang Qin and the source of life. Are you willing to sacrifice the entire continent for one person? Chen Xian's gaze is full of disdain. The appearance of the evil thoughts is due to the greed and slaughter of the human race. Why should Wang Qin bear the entire human race's mistakes alone? But the people below respond, Wang Qin was chosen. If it were us who were chosen, we would also be willing to die for the world. But Chen Xian's actions directly expose their true nature. Fine, I haven't let go of the source of life from Wang Qin yet. If you are willing to accompany Wang Qin in death, I agree to kill Wang Qin. Look at these self-righteous individuals. Now I have chosen all of you too. Why aren't you willing to sacrifice your lives for the continent? Selfishly standing aside and speaking empty words. Who can't do that? Chen Xian directly waves his hand and severs the source of life. So I ask you, why should Wang Qin sacrifice herself to save you? The source of life is split in two. It is about to return to its original form. The 7 saints curse Chen Xian in anger, but it's too late. The ground keeps shaking. The source of life is about to emerge with the evil thoughts.